8 to 10, 12 inches where it had melted the skin. And oh my God, this ain't good, is it? No. She lied to me. She said, no, it's not good.
Yeah, rushed to a hospital. 5 broken ribs, massive skin burns.
I do remember him telling me you're going to lose your leg. And I told him that's not an option.
Surgeons immediately started doing skin grafts.
Took skin off my legs and put on my arms and my back. As you can see, I've still got my left hand.
Still left-handed.
Still left-handed.
And when you said it was a couple days after the accident when they told you about the other car. Well, how did that conversation?
He's an attorney.
I heard she's off. Like she's out again.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Down there.
It's the one that actually told me about how he said that when involved with the accident. That was how I found out.
Well, that's kind of cool. It got here on time,
I
eh?
just remember him
Got the
walking.
little market going on.
It's like, my name is, my name is so-and-so, and I'm with, I'm an attorney representing the company that you drive for, and
Round trip calculating.
if you've been informed of this or not, how it is.
In 600 meters, turn slight right onto Railway Avenue.
I've been informed, but I've been
You
out.
don't need them. There's no more.
When
Everything
we
is
started
done. We've had
into
lunch.
court proceedings, that was when I found out names
She had half a sandwich, lots of strawberries,
and where
some
they were
grilled cheese.
from.
So she got plenty to eat.
They were from Connecticut. They had been on vacation in North Carolina. The hurricane coming in, they were evacuated out of North Carolina. So they had decided that they were going to travel up into Pennsylvania
No, you've got a little
and
blankie. That's enough. Look at the
try
flowers, so
to
clear.
find a place
Can you see
to
them, Mab?
finish their vacation in
Maybe too
Pennsylvania.
low for you, hun. Bye-bye, Marquette.
Look at those flowers on top there.
That's what put them there. I traveled 2 miles an hour faster, 2 miles an hour slower. We wouldn't have been at the same place at the same time.
Oh, Canada's so cool.
Scotty eventually went back to long haul trucking, but he says that he kept thinking about that day, about that accident, the people who were.
Turn slight right onto Railway Avenue.
Kind of walk to
The other thing that really struck him
lots
about
of
that
water.
day
Actually, it's like a swamp.
was that everybody who showed up to that scene, the private parking ambulance,
Everybody there was volunteer.
and that's something you couldn't really shake.
That people volunteered to come to me and they didn't know who I was. They didn't care who I was. They didn't pass judgment on me that, I was in a horrific accident and I may have been the cause of that accident. They didn't care. They viewed me as someone.
In 700 meters, turn slight right onto Highway 1 East.
Scotty said the more he thought about it, the more he felt like he had this sort of debt to pay back for the lives that were lost
May as well
that
just
day.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Distinguished.
So it gets
There's a way that
Oh,
maybe
how
he's
can
going
you
to do
park
that is become a volunteer.
on both
He's going
sides
to
here?
become one of these
It's kind of made oddly.
Help those
that comes to your aid no matter what.
And
Do you wanna do
as
the
they
windows
say,
wet?
the rest
Oh,
is
sure.
history. Here I am.
Jay.
And out in rural Kentucky, they get all sorts of calls.
Come here, honey. They just want to look at you. It's okay. You're okay.
How long has he been acting like that, huh?
Since last night.
Okay.
Like a 3-year-old who's having trouble breathing.
Just breathe. It's okay. Look at me. Mommy, go.
A lot of calls from nursing homes.
Deep breath. Won't hurt.
Got him on 6 on 9. Turd
Or
right on the
falling
side of
into
the
something
car.
that feels like so small, like a cough.
Oh, I saw that turd, I did.
It's cleaned off now.
One night, that's funny. At night, I call an older woman on the porch to help pick up an elderly woman.
Oh, good job. Good job.
Sometimes they just get called to give people their beds.
You're gonna feel a big poke, okay? Count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Big poke.
These are like kind of like the everyday innocuous
Bye-bye.
calls.
Canmore. This was
And
a
then, of
nice
course, like,
place.
there
I
are
wish we could have stayed here,
overdoses.
Rod. This is a nice place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
By the way, I'm Matt.
I'm Earl.
Earl.
Nice to meet you.
In 300 meters, turn slight right onto Highway 1 East.
Everybody kept saying that we should go down to the old jail,
Are you the jailer?
Yeah.
which is where we met the county jailer, Earl.
How's it going, sir?
How you doing there, buddy?
I'm Matt and his friend Mitchell.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.
So Earl led us into the jail. It's abandoned now.
8 pills.
Aquafire
He walked us into this front room.
Hey, how many days Canmore this guy?
It's full of weed whackers, lawnmowers.
Earl oversees the work release program, so the people that are in jail are sort of on this temporary work release program. They like do lawn maintenance along the highway.
Where they got him at? Oh, it's over there. I see. Over in the corner.
And then Earl grabbed this red bucket, which he set down. It's like a knee-high bucket.
Pretty nasty.
Oh my god.
That's from this year. But you can see, that's just this year.
What's that next stuff, Rod?
So many
Medicine
smells.
hat.
How many do you think you got in there?
I'd say there's 1,000 where you mentioned. You're close to it. That was like all last year. All last year.
People on work release have been picking these up for like the past year. It's just
Turn slight right onto Highway 1 East.
They used to have the kids, you know, clean up the kids.
It's not a slight right,
It's
though,
got
Katie.
two bags with neighbors.
Is that what you consider slight right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Away the needles.
Yeah. I thought a slight right would be like more leaning into traffic. Slow
That's
down.
probably 20, 30. Here's another one. We got a problem here, sir. No doubt about that. There's definitely a problem with heroin use.
I still got the drugs in there.
That person,
Continue on current road for more than 50 kilometers.
yeah.
Did it surprise you to find us one?
Well, it just all what the heroin problem just started just like overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pills forever, and then just all at once. And nobody even ever seen a needle that you just all at once they were.
And when did you start seeing them?
About it's been longer than that. It's been about 2.5 years ago. And it just once it started, you started finding they were.
The Rockies.
See all these needles?
Rockies?
Just think it's a bad thing. It's destroying families. We have somebody dying here just all the time. It's really bad. It's sad. I had a very good friend and I lost it. What was it? It was like last August. I had took him to rehab and he was in there for a couple months and he got out pretty good.
That was sort of the incredible thing.
Whoa.
Alright, well I'll take a look around. Is that like everybody knew
So
somebody
He hit the shoulder.
Yeah.
using opioids?
Nice families. Somebody in their family.
There's some cattle in there.
Like I went to a yard sale because I love yard sales, and
Families that connected some way.
when I told the women who were sitting there on the driveway what we were reporting on, they said they had lost neighbors, friends.
Well, let's put it like this. In 2000,
One day when we were down there, we had to take a lift.
no, in 1990, I had a motorcycle accident, which destroyed my left femur. I've got a 12-inch plate, 10 screws, and 2 pins that hold my left femur together.
The driver told us how he had started using pills.
And really came by quite innocently.
I talked to a woman who worked at a thrift store who told me she lost a cousin to an overdose. Actually, Jade told us about a friend of his?
He actually relapsed. He was in therapy. His sponsor in Narcotics Anonymous.
Relapse means that you
Start using again.
You start your You got clean and then went to take it again.
And I would assume that DMS, Scotty, and Jay would have seen this shift happen.
Yeah, Scotty told us around 2017 overdose calls.
Went from 1 or 2 a week to
5, 6, one day.
to 11.
So that
That
tells me
was just
she might have
unheard
been
of.
pushing it there.
Just to have that.
They told us they would treat the same person like 5 times over a few months. Like, this is just their job.
Right, they're there to save people's lives.
But this overdose problem and sort of like moral calculus that any EMS person makes to show up to help a person who's OD, it started to shift when reports started emerging about this new drug. This drug that made it so simply coming into contact with a person, like just simply touching them, could put an EMS worker in danger.
There wasn't a lot known about it.
We talked to this guy Jason York about it.
He's the emergency management director for the county. At first, it came out, the reports of
Grab my
everything.
diapers.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
What do you think? Like, just hearing about it. What's going through your mind when you hear about it?
World War Z.
Walking Dead. The drug is called fentanyl.
What is fentanyl? Like, I know that it's an opioid. But is it?
So fentanyl.
Did you talk to a guy about this a while back?
I did. I talked to this guy, John Cole.
Okay.
Can you tell me again, like, who you are? And
Yeah, I'm an emergency physician here at Hennepin County Medical Center, which is a level 1 trauma center in Minneapolis.
he's also the director of the Minnesota Poison Control.
So fentanyl has been around for decades and used almost every day in my hospital in some capacity.
So fentanyl is an opioid. It's fully synthetic. It's manufactured in a laboratory, and it often comes in powder form. But drug companies reformulated it into all sorts of things, like fentanyl lollipops. And these lollipops are given to soldiers on the battlefield. There's also fentanyl patches.
That people wear to get fentanyl into their body through their skin.
Oh, so you can do fentanyl through the skin.
Yeah, it's an easy way to put something on with really bad chronic pain, with cancer, for instance.
It's just this really, really effective painkiller.
Because fentanyl is really, really potent.
I mean, a lot of people refer to fentanyl as sort of the third wave of the opioid crisis.
Just for context, what are the first two waves?
Yeah, well, so if you go back to the beginning of the crisis, the first wave was pills. When in the early 2000s, drug manufacturers began flooding communities with pharmaceutical-grade opioids. And the second wave was around 2011 when there was a crackdown on pills. And so a lot of people that were using pharmaceuticals began to migrate to heroin. The Mexican cartels got very good at delivering that heroin. And then, around 2013, opioid crisis, the third wave hits.
America's worst drug crisis ever.
Drug dealers, people that were selling heroin, started looking to fentanyl.
Because fentanyl is so much cheaper to either make or obtain than normal heroin.
And most importantly, fentanyl is way more potent. And so basically, to maximize the profit, drug dealers started putting fentanyl into heroin. The problem is that the people who are using, they really have no idea what they're getting. They think they're just getting heroin.
And certainly by 2014, we started to see patients in our emergency department who were overdosed with what they thought was heroin that probably turned out to be fentanyl.
And more and more people were overdosing. Don't die.
Powerful synthetic opioid.
There were all these news stories about
A powerful opioid.
this
Fentanyl.
powerful, ultra-potent synthetic opioid.
30 to 50 times as powerful as heroin itself.
And there are versions of it where the molecules changed a little bit and it makes it more potent.
And by 2016,
An even more dangerous drug is now hitting the street.
It's called carfentanil.
It's a new synthetic opioid usually used to tranquilize elephants.
This deadly drug is popping up in our backyards.
And carfentanil is extremely potent.
The same size as just 7 grains of salt could kill you.
John says it was right around this time, 2016.
There started to be reports of
I fall backwards,
law enforcement
trying to hold on to anything I can grasp.
emergency medical services,
Face started burning.
and even nurses in hospitals
broke out in sweat.
describing getting ill when they were exposed to powder that turned out later to be fentanyl or some other type of fentanyl.
How did you first hear about it?
How did I hear about it? You guys. Media.
Oh, I forget I'm a representative of the media. Scotty said he actually first heard about carfentanil on Good Morning America.
I started reading articles on it.
Jay saw other people in EMS tweeting about it.
What is this drug? What is going on?
That's in the big city. It's not going to happen.
And then one of our local law enforcement officers, Bud Lyons,
So you read about fentanyl.
I mean, I read about it, but I didn't think it would come to a small city like this.
So that's Bud Lyons.
he's a police officer, he's a canine officer here.
What happened? Basically, I was dispatched to the funeral home.
So summer 2017, Bud got called out to the parking lot of the funeral home.
A female had passed out
in her car.
When I got on scene,
But as soon as you run past the guy, you just pick up the speed, right?
she had some brown stuff on her face, like a powder substance around her nostrils,
Searched the car and took into evidence $1,000 in cash.
and several little baggies of brown powder substance that turned out to be heroin.
And that same night, that was like back in the evidence room, going through the money.
I didn't have no gloves on when I was counting the money.
Started feeling funny.
Started feeling real dizzy. Couldn't think straight.
Dropped the money.
And drove his cruiser up here into the parking lot.
At the EMS station.
And when he pulled in, he went down.
A couple of EMS were there and gave him this Lazarus drug.
Rushed me to the hospital.
Had that ever happened before?
No, it's the first time it's ever happened. And, just that little touch basically almost killed me.
Just a grain of fentanyl got on his skin. He's saying that's all it took. Yeah, like that was the story that was starting to emerge really across the country. That like a tiny grain, if you came into contact with a tiny grain of this drug, it
Mountains would
takes down.
disappear.
So as soon as that happened, Scotty made it a pact between us to carry extra Narcan in the truck for us in case we ever got exposed. Because I knew it was here in the county, in the city.
I think BC
And about a month after that, sure enough,
They did on Steve, his truck in the park.
Barter got exposed.
Yeah, more of like the
I can remember
mountains and all
coming
that.
to
Snow
being in
and stuff.
another ambulance.
Calgary has those water pumps and some of the water and the gas pumps, right? Oil rigs and gas rigs. It's got the water all contaminated and it was gross.
About 4 hours.
And then eventually discharged.
The next day, it was like, that was when it hit. The fight, almost died in each other.
And that's essentially when it began as a call for help. It became a crime scene. What do you mean? I will tell you.
What was that one?
After break.
Hi, this is Heidi calling from Nashville, Tennessee. Radio Lab is supported in part by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, enhancing public understanding of science and technology in the modern world. More information about Sloan at www.sloan.org.
Hey everybody, Pat Walters here. I'm a producer at Radio Lab, and I'm here because I need your help. This summer, I'm hosting a series of stories on the show, and I have a request for those of you who spend a lot of time with kids, parents, aunts and uncles, teachers. We're looking for stories about what we're calling tiny moments of childhood brilliance. Basically, I want to hear about those times when a kid you know did something that just made you lean back and say, whoa, how did they do that? Maybe it was the moment that a kid you've been reading to for months started reading back to you. Or maybe the kid was at piano lessons and you suddenly noticed they were doing advanced math on the margin of their musical score. Or maybe the kid was in math class and you noticed they were writing music in the margin of their geometry paper. We're interested in those small, specific moments where a kid does something super smart that doesn't have anything to do with the test. If you have a story, please share it with us. Go to radiolab.org/brilliance and record a short audio message for us. Again, that's radiolab.org/brilliance. Thank you so much.
called Sapiens Homo Deus and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, few writers of nonfiction have captured the imagination of millions of people in the way Yuval Noah Harari has. Harari's books are essential reading for anyone interested in deepening their understanding of the world today and learning how to navigate its turbulent waters. All of Harari's books are now available as audiobooks, read by award-winning narrator Derek Perkins. Visit penguinrandomhouse.ca/Harari to learn more.
Chad, Robert, Radio Lab.
Back to Peter and Matt,
Kentucky.
Something that I kept thinking about when we were down there in Kentucky driving around was that there is like no duty to rendering. Even though there are some exceptions and statutes in some states, like for the most part, there's just no obligation. We live in a society where you you can sort of watch a person drown and you won't be held liable. You can do that.
First thing after this?
Medicine Hat Lodge.
Medicine.
That's legal. I just kept thinking about that.
It's like a different genre. There's a charging point there at the casino. That was the next stop.
I'm glad we stopped at the other one.
When we were down there with
I'm glad we stopped at the other one. That was a good place.
we just seen the needles and we were coming out to the parking lot. And we had spent probably like 2 or 3 days trying to find the people who were actually in the apartment. Like the person who overdosed and the other 2 people who we learned lived in that apartment.
I had a phone number. Nobody was picking up. But we're with Earl. And just asked him if he knew this guy. Scotty had him.
This is a different Scotty.
This is a different Scotty.
Right, this is Scotty Whiteman's the EMT who responded to the call, had this seemingly like overdose exposure. Scotty had lived in the apartment.
Yeah, he was there the day that Scotty and Jay showed up.
Yeah, I know. What do y'all want to talk to him?
Yeah, we got the Scotty Whiteman started the story and we're just curious.
What do you want to talk to him about? What went on that night? Or?
Get his side of the story. I know that.
I don't think that he could right now because his case ain't back.
Sure.
I just about guarantee you won't.
But then he was like, I can tell you where he is though, because it turns out that Scotty hadn't had on an ankle monitor, and Earl, is the jailer, so he just like pulls up his phone and looks up Scotty's GPS location.
Yeah, and so the little dot with the GPS showed exactly where he was at this old cemetery.
The graveyard's one thing.
And Earl said like we could go down there and like maybe he would talk to us. We get there, pretty big and sprawling cemetery that was like 25 minutes out of town, something like that.
Yeah, lots of big trees, cicadas.
Anyway, Scotty was actually out on this riding lawnmower, and we were standing there talking to the supervisor. Right. And then Scotty himself like gets off the lawnmower, comes over to us. What did he look like? Sunken eyes, big eyes.
Very skinny guy.
Wearing like a blue ball cap,
blue jeans.
So Scotty came over. The supervisors went on the lawnmower and started riding around, and Scotty immediately started talking.
Seemed like he wanted to tell his side of the story.
He said he got sick.
And he was standing under this big oak tree, kind of like on a steep slope. Sorry, mind? I missed it. You were saying that you think it's doubtful.
I think it's very doubtful.
And he immediately started telling us that he was like suspicious of Scotty Whiteman's story, his whole like overdose by touch thing.
I mean, because he only touched my other co-defendant, and I had washed him off. I didn't know you're not supposed to wash someone's overdosing off, but I did. And this guy's trying to say he got infected by carfentanil. They didn't even find any drugs on the scene. They found
very little paraphernalia. But
can you
I
reach
know I'm
where
going.
Red
It's one of those things. I'm going to church
Where Red
now.
Bulls usually are
As soon as
they
I
in
get
here?
this ankle monitor off, I'm going to get saved. I can't
I
get
think
saved
so.
with the ankle monitor. You can't submerge.
Where are you going to get baptized?
I go to Freedom Church in Webster, right west. There's been a bunch of people that make me kind of nervous.
Just one?
I just want a Red Bull, yeah.
We decided to meet up with him later because of cicadas. So we went to his aunt's house.
I think Munchkin might still be hungry, actually.
Give her some strawberries, I guess. I don't know. What do you want to know?
Do you want to give her some any snacks, Munchkin? You want to eat something?
Yeah. It's nice to meet you
So we
guys.
want something? Yeah, there's her bag in here. Yeah. Yeah, there's one here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So apparently Scotty's girlfriend, Jessica,
She
was
dropped
the
a
other
lot of her
person in the
sandwich. She
apartment.
had basically maybe like strawberries and
She was also
like
now
maybe a
with
quarter
Scotty and
sandwich.
John, but she didn't want to talk to us.
So then the three of us sat down on the couch and Scotty just started telling us about his own story. And I think his story definitely has a very trajectory.
Where did you grow up? Was it around here?
Yeah, I grew up in Bath County.
Yeah, because I picked up maybe a part of the
So Scotty grew up in government housing in a small apartment
They run up.
with his
Oh, this
sister,
horse.
mom,
Did you smash it down? Yeah.
Trying to get out. He's like,
Powerhousing through.
you see the pole is down. There's a weak point here. Let's see if I can get out this way.
When I was like 15, 16.
Fence can't contain me.
With my dad, my grandma.
A fucking horse.
I was in sports. I made decent grades. Now
look like it's a
probably go see my dad. He caught him a case.
Or else, how do you call those fence that has like spikes on it?
So when was the first
Barbed
ticket?
wire. Yeah, it didn't look like barbed wire.
First time I ever took narcotics.
Chain link fence is not it's just a
According to Scotty, what happened was he got kidney stones.
Never had pain worse than that. Hurt so bad I was crying.
He mentioned it to his dad.
He got a motorcycle grant, kind of messed him up. You know, he just, I said, here, you know, you can take one more pain pill.
It was a Lortem, which is hydrocodone acetaminophen.
Yeah, he said when he took it,
Before, yeah.
felt just total relief.
That's like the feeling, you know. Makes you feel real, real
Meaning
good.
that
And all after that,
Getting
the hood really doesn't have any bug splatters on it, right?
Take 2, 3.
Hood doesn't have
Just,
much
you
bug
know,
I know, there's a deflector.
Yeah,
It's an idea, right? Yeah, that's working good.
Hurt 30s, which are definitely flooding into places like Kentucky in the early 2000s. So this is like the sort of first wave of the opioid crisis.
so Scotty said at first he would get pills from friends, people at work,
And then it just, you know, got to, well, you know, I started buying pills. Probably my mid-20s.
He started taking Oxycontin, and he said he was working at the time stocking bread.
Right, he was stocking bread, he was also working in a factory.
So I'd be like, well, I'd rather work than steal off somebody. And I've always been that way. I don't really want to steal off people.
So you're like, I can work and make enough money to...
It was really hard. I mean, I made $500-600 a week, and, you know, I wouldn't have any left.
Because he'd spent all of it on pills.
But he was doing that for years, and probably it's about like 2011 or 12.
You know, heroin came around. That's when I started doing it.
Because it was cheaper, or...?
Because it was cheaper. Because I was spending $80 to $100 on 2 pills.
80 to 100 for just 2 pills.
Just 2 pills. You know, you might go a little bit high, and it might not last very long at all. You know, for $80 or $100, heroin, you get a lot more, and it's a lot more powerful. So that it just made sense.
Scotty told us he did heroin for like 5 or 6 years. He didn't inject it, but he would snort it. And he says he tried to quit a couple of times, but just
didn't. Which is probably just an excuse for I couldn't. I had to hit complete rock bottom.
For Scotty, he says that was the day of the overdoses in that apartment.
Yeah.
You pick up at some point. Like where did it start?
Probably gonna have to ask me like questions on this because I'm gonna may shy back from some of it a little bit. So ask me again once you.
Yeah.
You're living down there with Jessica and your son Gabriel.
So Jessica, Scotty's girlfriend, the two of them have a son together, Gabriel.
And it's her apartment. And at some point, Ricky is with you guys.
Again, Ricky is his stepdad.
We were like, why is he over there that day?
Well, he's burned all his bridges.
From from what we learned, it sounds like he was last living with friends and like they had a falling out.
Yeah, so like everybody else had sort of given up on him.
We felt sorry for him, you know, where he goes.
Yo, I was like, what's all this traffic? There's construction going on.
That was it.
That's
And
why
then,
I'm painting a yellow line across the road.
Like, I don't know, where would you start with that day?
I wonder what those yellow lines are across the street for.
Yeah, I don't know.
Know where to go with this.
Yeah, because they were marking yellow ones on that road over there.
I noticed them too.
I think last time we spoke, it was like at some point you noticed Ricky.
I can go from there probably a bit.
So Scotty explained to us that he and Jessica were in the living room of the apartment sitting on the couch. And then at some point Ricky had gotten up and gone into the kitchen. And after a while Scotty realized that the kitchen sink, the water in the kitchen sink had been running for a while.
I'm like, why is the water running? You know, so I go in there.
Goes into the kitchen and sees Ricky standing over the kitchen sink. And he said he looked
locked up.
Frozen.
Like his arms were really stiff, his fists were sort of like clenched,
racing,
grabbing the countertop.
His tongue flopping back and forth in his mouth. His mouth barely open, you can see it. I kind of knew what it probably was.
He's ODing.
I get a chair and I struggle to get him in there.
Once you get more to the flatter areas and agricultural sections, what it is, it gets flat.
Yeah, I don't spray him with cold water. I was thinking, well, you know, I might wake him up. I'll wash him in the face. I did smack him in the face a few times. He just, you know, like that.
I like the little dinosaur there.
Decision to call the ambulance service. I started getting a little bit out of it, I guess. I don't remember a lot of that.
So I've listened to the 911 call, and Scotty didn't really tell us this, and I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't believe him, but I do think that there was something. I do think that they sort of, like, in that moment, they must have been a little like, what do we do
Crazy.
next?
It feels like this week just went by fast. Last week felt like it dragged a little bit, which is nice, you know. But now
The thing is, they were the first ones to call 911 that day.
Okay, 911.
First person to call was actually Ricky's brother.
Yeah, this is Ronnie from Salt Lake. I just got a phone call. My brother has OD'd at Bernard Heights.
Which means someone must have called Ricky's brother, told him what was going on. They didn't know what to do.
Because when he calls, he says something like,
They're scared to call because they don't think somebody's got warrants and shit on them. My brother don't let him wear and die.
something about outstanding warrants, or like they're worried about outstanding warrants.
Yeah, they trying to throw in them cars. Kids don't know the warrant. No, sir, they won't tell me. Okay, I'll try up your air first thing fine. Thank you. Well.
And then another thing you hear in these recordings is this other call, which is from one of Scotty and Jessica's neighbors.
Well, my neighbors came over a few minutes ago,
And I think she's talking about Scotty. That Scotty had come over to her house.
and he told me that that guy's currently overdosing in his apartment, and that they were scared to call the ambulance because he was severely intoxicated on drugs.
And from reading the reports, it sounds like their 1-year-old son was in the apartment at the time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, their 1-year-old Gabriel.
I think they were worried about the police coming and losing custody of their kid. And so like for them, in that moment, when Ricky was lying on the floor, I think there were some questions in their mind, like, what's the right thing to do? How do we do the right thing without getting ourselves in trouble?
But they did make the call.
Yes, I made an ambulance to Bernard Heights, apartment 301.
Jessica calls 911.
It was 2 minutes after Ricky's brother made that first call.
Okay, what's going on? You said overdose?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
And I believe one of the reasons that they made the call that day was because they knew about this law.
I didn't know exactly what it said. I didn't know that it came in provide, we'll be okay.
Law that was designed to protect people in exactly this situation.
It's called the Good Samaritan Law. So around 2010, 2011, 12, as this opioid epidemic was escalating,
House File 238, the Good Samaritan Bill.
A lot of states started adopting these 911 Good Samaritan laws.
46 states, including Kentucky, now have these laws.
Which essentially say if you're using drugs with someone and that person overdoses, we don't want you
Here, we got the Bible right here. So, yeah, it's a parable from the Gospel of Luke. So it's Jesus is telling the story, and so there's a Jew. He's on the road to Jericho, and as he's walking along, some robbers come and they steal his money and they beat him up and they leave him in a ditch, and they essentially left him for dead. And then another person comes along the road, but instead of helping him, this person crosses the road and just keeps on walking. The second person comes by, same thing, and then a third person comes, and it's a Samaritan. And the Jews and the Samaritans were mortal enemies. They absolutely detested each other. But when this Samaritan sees this Jew lying in a ditch in need, the good Samaritan stops and he helps this guy and gives him money and shelter and treats his wounds and essentially saves his life. So it's a story about
showing kindness to your enemies,
or your enemies showing kindness to you.
Right.
I guess the other thing that's interesting about this is that Jesus is talking to a legal scholar.
It's kind of different now. It's weird to see
so
it
it's sort of about setting up morality versus the law. And so I guess what he's saying is that if you see somebody that's in need, and you don't think about what the law says you should or shouldn't do, you just help the person in need. It's unconditional love takes precedent over the letter of the law.
But then of course there is the law.
Ronnie, those New York reporters are here to stick a microphone in your face.
And what seems to be happening across the country is prosecutors are beginning to push back against the Good Samaritan.
Thank you.
So we talked to this guy, Ronnie Goldie. He's the Commonwealth attorney. He's also the lead prosecutor in the case against Ricky, Jessica, and Scotty.
It's kind of weird that you guys got this from out of New York, and it's just not something that I would have expected, certainly, because we're used to our own little problems down here, and I would assume we've got bigger problems in New York to deal with than what we were dealing with. But that's fine. I mean, I'm glad that you guys got down this way.
So what did he say to you about
So as Ronnie sort of explained it to us,
you go back with our legislature and the way they have drafted the Good Samaritan law.
The way the law is written in Kentucky is that if you call 911 for a drug overdose, you're only granted immunity for two specific types of charges.
You cannot charge them with possession of controlled substance.
Drug possession.
Or possession of drug
Sombrero, S-O-M-B-R-O.
Just those two charges. But we didn't charge them with possession, we charged them with wanton endangerment.
And this is where you see this sort of pushback. Wanton endangerment, that's a legal term for when you do something that puts somebody at risk for physical injury or death.
It's a conscious disregard for what could occur.
It's like driving drunk.
This situation
where they were laced with fentanyl, you created a risk, number one, of the child being seriously injured or killed based on an overdose or other injuries, and then also you placed paramedics, law enforcement, and social workers that would have to come into that circumstance.
So rather than granting Scotty, Ricky, and Jessica protection, Ronnie Goldie, Commonwealth of Kentucky, has charged them with 10 counts of felony wrongdoing. Each one of them are getting hit with 10 felony charges.
Well, why 10?
So there was one charge for endangering the child. So the 1-year-old could have gotten into the drug somehow and become exposed that way. And then there were 9 additional charges. One for each of the people that came to the house that day. The police, the social workers, and all the EMS that was on it.
And I think we should say here that Jessica, who's now facing these 10 felony charges, the day of the overdose, she actually tested negative for opiates.
Right, and their kid checked out opiates.
But I think she's now facing these charges because essentially she made that call. She was like the part of it and made the call. The other thing to mention is that the thing that she and Scotty were scared of, which was losing custody of their son, that did happen.
I'm not mad about that. I understand that aspect. Drug stuff ain't wrong. I understand that. As far as the other things,
I know what she did. She does.
I don't understand.
But Ronnie's argument is that of drugs and paraphernalia, but like there is this sort of side door to be like, well, we can charge you for this.
No, that's not the case at all. It's not like we're trying to say, okay, we don't like the Good Samaritan law, let's go around it.
That's exactly what it is, man. It's the thing I don't really understand. It seems like the net effect of the Good Samaritan law is to sort of reduce fatalities. It seems like the data I've seen is like it's rather successful in reducing fatalities. So you are, by encouraging people to call 911, you are reducing fatalities. And in this case, they hadn't called 911. It's possible that the patient would have died. So in some ways I feel like
sure, and I totally understand it. I totally understand the reason behind it. But what I may think morally or personally, I don't have that luxury. I have a statute that I have to follow because when I took the oath of office, it is that I will uphold the laws of the Commonwealth. And if it's a crime, it's a crime. I don't get to say, well, they were trying to do the right thing. If it's a crime, and I have to pursue it.
We talked to another prosecutor involved in this case.
She's the county attorney who indicted Ricky.
You know, you have people whose jobs are to protect the public who have to be there. You know, the message needs to go out there. These people are protected as well.
There wasn't like pressure. People weren't calling you locally, or there wasn't somebody from like, the state.
No, there was no one calling from the state or anything like that. I mean, I just had my local people, you know, that were concerned about it. And
was it the people who were there?
I kind of think one of them did call me, you know, and just say, is there anything we can do, you know, with regard to this? Is there an appropriate criminal charge? I believe Mr. Whiteman is who did.
Okay, so we talked to Scotty Whiteman. We asked him essentially why was it that he wanted to see these people charged.
I view it as a call for accountability. If they're doing heroin, get out here and roll around in the yard for a week. I have no issues with that. You do something that can cause harm to people, I've got a problem with that.
I think, like, I understand that, but ultimately also feel like that they truly didn't know that, like, this is a drug that somebody could, like, brush up against or something like that and potentially have a reaction, that there's just not enough knowledge
Sirens
there
in the
for
back.
them to
We got ourselves an ambulance.
Why are we still
even a sense of the fact that they could be endangering other people.
These guys are like following them.
And then sort of to know that you had been through this experience with this accident, I always kind of felt like, oh, I'm just surprised that you wouldn't maybe extend to them a sort of like, I don't know if sympathy is the right word, but
I think that if you harm someone, you should be held accountable. You guys know now that I'm going on vacation. September the 16th is a hard day.
That's the anniversary of his truck accident where he killed 3 people. Is that Sunday?
Yes, because Sunday I will probably lock myself in a room away from everybody the biggest part of the morning. If I'm scheduled to work on September the 16th, it's the day that I take off. From the morning until noon is time for me to pay my respects to him. Even though we are coming up on 8 years later, still it's just my way of dealing with it, I guess.
Do in that moment when you isolate yourself.
It's one of those that I reflect on that morning, and I still try to figure out if there was anything that I could have done different that may have changed the outcome. I do, me personally. I still have nightmares. I still wake up in clean sweats.
You mentioned this, or not yesterday, I mean last time we were here, that so initially I think there was a lawsuit filed by the family against the company, then there was a civil suit that you had to go through. So eventually bankrupted you. And what I'm wondering is, like,
that took potential earnings away from that family. Birthdays, Christmases missed.
I think, like, did you deliberately try and do that, or
taken that day?
She just continued on space.
Yeah, so very justified. I was held accountable for my actions of that morning. And then when you look at the exposure case, he needs to be accountable for those actions because he knew the risks that were involved.
Right, just as I think like getting behind the wheel of a truck, you know, on September 16th, 1999, you know that there could be consequences, but you never, that's why it's an accident, right?
What is that?
The same thing if you had taken like, I don't know, 2 milligrams less of the drug, it's like, they seem like really similar situations almost, and I guess I'm just wondering, like, why is it hard to forgive him for that?
Oh shit.
I didn't say I didn't forgive him for it. It's just, I think he needs to be held accountable for his actions.
I mean, like, all of that sort of like brings us to the big question of the story. What happened that day? Because if we're going to hold Scotty Hatton accountable for what happened to Scotty Whiteman, you need to be able to show that the drugs in the apartment or whatever was on Ricky's skin, like, could actually cause him to overdose.
Do you have any reason to doubt that?
Well, the reason I found this story was it was reported as a credible report in the New York Times. Like, everybody sort of acknowledged that, you know, first responders were going down all across the country.
So,
but when I talked to John Cole, the toxicologist from earlier, he said,
well, I don't doubt any of the symptoms that any of these fire, EMS, and police officers have experienced.
He was skeptical.
It's not 100% clear if that's actually due to fentanyl or to some other event that occurred.
And John Cole wasn't alone. I mean, I started calling like doctors and toxicologists, pharmacologists, and they said that like, the risk that fentanyl posed to first responders was extremely low.
Why? What was their thinking?
Well, for one, I mean, like the powder doesn't spontaneously aerosolize. It doesn't like poof into the air. So that makes like breathing it in pretty unlikely. And as far as the skin-to-skin contact thing,
it's so poorly absorbed.
The like substance itself doesn't pass through the skin easily.
To get fentanyl to absorb through your skin, you have to use a special matrix to be able to.
You know, if you want to make a fentanyl patch, you have to sort of use these solvents
to get the absorption to even be to the point where it's therapeutic, let alone an overdose.
Even if you put a fentanyl patch on, it takes a very long time for the drug to sort of like achieve a meaningful dose in the body.
But something is happening to these people. I mean, you have to assume so. If it's not the drugs, what is it?
So yeah, what John Cole and a couple of other people brought up is this idea that maybe it wasn't the external situation that they're in, but more, it was more something internal.
There's no question in my mind that every one of these people felt symptoms that are very real.
But John said the symptoms don't really match with the symptoms of a typical opiate overdose.
For instance, hyperventilating.
On opioids, you're usually breathing slower,
not breathing faster.
Or a lot of first responders reported feeling
a sense of great impending doom.
Opiates are all about
serenity and pleasure, not impending doom.
And so if you look at the symptoms and sort of the stories that are being told about these new substances and these new situations in our culture right now, he says that it kind of looks like a mass panic.
So there's a condition called mass psychogenic abuse.
This is something that John Cole says that he's actually come across in his work at the Minnesota Poison Control.
It was a school event, and a bunch of...
he said that about 4 or 5 years ago, there was this incident at a public school in Minnesota where a bunch of kids started like keeling over because they thought it was like carbon monoxide.
dioxide poisoning.
Subsequent student after student began to feel ill.
They took all these kids to the hospital and they gave them blood tests.
None of the blood levels were positive for coronavirus.
Didn't check out.
And once the medical conditions are ruled out from the known poisoning, you have to start considering other causes. And that even was consistent with this condition called mass psychogenic illness.
And so when you think about first responders showing up at the scene of a drug overdose, and what's running through their mind is this like constant onslaught of news reports and other sort of anecdotal accounts they've heard about their friends and their colleagues that are passing out.
It isn't that anybody's crazy or weak, it's that their mind is causing them to be physically ill. They really are sick, but it isn't necessarily due to the thing that they believe that it is. Does that make sense?
My response to that is...
So we told Scotty what we knew, what these scientists had been saying. And Scotty says basically like, look, they can say whatever they want to in their labs, but this is what I went through.
I just know...
In 2 kilometers, take Sarsi Trail southwest on the right.
Contact with something that put me in an overdosing situation.
Oh, we're in Alberta?
We've been in Alberta for a long time. We're in Calgary.
I mean Calgary. Because I saw the children's hospital. I mean, we're okay, we're in Calgary.
An inmate at the Clark County Detention Center, Kentucky. Your charges for your call have been accepted.
Hello. Hi, Ricky, this is Peter Smith. I ended up sending a postcard to the jail because the jail...
In 1 kilometer, take Sarsi Trail southwest on the right.
And a week later, I get a call from Ricky Mays. Ricky is Scotty's stepfather, and he's also the person who overdosed, who Scotty Whiteman treated. And he told me that there wasn't a whole lot of toxicology evidence or medical records or much of anything.
Take Sarsi Trail southwest on the right.
Agreed to a plea deal for all 10 wanton endangerment charges.
Yes, I played music. It took 3 years. I mean, more or less forced. That's it.
You said you were more or less forced?
Yeah.
Because Ricky's a repeat felony offender, he was instead of the 3 that he took.
More or less, the message they're putting out there is that anybody OD right here, anything like this, throw in the bin. It's illegal. It's a message that the court system is putting out to people. That's the way I think.
And how does that make you feel? I mean, is that...
not good.
Yeah.
Bouncy, bouncy.
Because it seems like if they didn't call you, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Bouncy.
I said if they hadn't called 911 that day, like the Good Samaritan law sort of says you can,
Look at Mario.
it doesn't seem like we'd be talking right now.
They done the right thing.
Continue on current road for about 17 kilometers.
What they done.
Anything else you want to ask? I'm sorry, I just ramble on all day.
Unlike Ricky, Scotty has refused to take a plea deal. Instead, he's going to risk up to 20 years in jail by taking his case to trial.
I think about it every day. Every day at work for at least a couple hours. I think about it. And the same answer comes up every day. I have to take it to trial. I don't want them doing this. You know, everybody, man.
Alberta now, Calgary,
Calgary,
yeah.
I feel like for me, like, given the way it's gone, given the way how they think about drugs, like I don't know if I would have the same sort of like confidence or conviction.
I understand where you're coming from. That's what my lawyer says too. I think when a few things come to light, you know, like they may say, well, he did get sick, or we're going to say, well, he didn't test positive for anything. Could have been something else. Every little bit of doubt that you create is reasonable doubt. You know, and all you got to do is convince one person on that jury to say, no, I'm not doing it. That's all you got to do.
Obviously, the jury will be making a decision about the case and about what happened in the apartment that day. But I think there's sort of a bigger, sort of more consequential message that they'll be sending about what people like Scotty and Scotty should believe and what they should fear and what they should do going forward.
if these charges end up getting dismissed, or if it goes to trial and the people are found not guilty for wanton endangerment, how are you going to feel?
If they're found not guilty, then I'm going to trust in the judicial system that there were things that come to light that maybe I wasn't aware of, and
killers.
if they're not found guilty, then so be it. And if he goes out and uses again, and I'm on shift when it happens,
Culers.
I walk in and see him, guess what? I'm treating. My job is to do everything within my power to save his life. And that's what I'm going to do.
That's
And I asked the other Scotty, would you make the same call? Do you think other people would make the same call? If this is what's on the end of that call potentially?
Oh, they'll try to, most people, depending on who they are, they'll probably try to just leave the person. Drag him outside or something like that. You know, people in jail will say and do that. Or, you know, cover up everything at the crime scene or whatever, you know. Or just not call. Like I said, if I knew there would have been 10 felonies, man, man, it's still got to call. The guy can't die. That's what I believe. I really believe that, man.
When Scotty Haddon first got arrested for the wanton endangerment charges, he spent 6 months in jail. After getting out, he now attends church every Sunday with his family.
What are you watching? VeggieTales?
He and Jessica have partial custody back of their son Gabriel.
You like VeggieTales?
What, Brazil?
That's a tomato.
That's a tomato.
Yeah, that's a tomato.
That's a tomato.
That's a cucumber.
And both he and Jessica
Judge, I think at this point we probably need to go ahead and set a trial date now.
have pending trials scheduled for December.
Also, special thanks in this episode to Cecil Lawson and Jason York and Gary Beeler and all the EMTs and the medics who generously allowed us to go around and ride with them to see what they saw.
Exactly. And to punch out John Sunderland, Chris Kipley, Dr. David Yerlink, Dr. Dan Chicharone, Fiona Thomas, Dr. Ken Williams,
and Corey S. Davis.
I'm Chad Abumrad.
I'm Robert Growich.
Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is James Mead from Denver, Colorado. Radiolab was created by Jad Abumrad and is produced by Soren Wheeler. Dylan Keefe is our Director of Sound Design. Susie Lechtenberg is our Executive Producer. Our staff includes Simon Adler, Becca Bresler, Rachel Kuzik, David Gabel, Bethel Habti, Tracy Hunt, Laura Keller, Matt Kilty, Robert Krolwich, Annie McEwen, Latif Nasser, Sarah Curry, Ariane Wack, Pat Walters, and Molly Webster. With help from Shima Oliayi, W. Harry Fortuna, and Audrey Quinn. Our fact checker is Michelle Harris.
Support for This American Life comes from LinkedIn. Knowing where to look is the first step to finding the right job. LinkedIn's got 20 million jobs and the people who can help you find them. Find the job meant for you at linkedin.com/jobs.
T-Y-R-E?
WBEZ Chicago. It's This American Life. I'm Ira Glass. The story that we bring you today is kind of a classic mystery story. But a classic mystery
A tire like clothes or tire like a car? That's a European way of spelling it.
Maybe
Yeah.
an episode of Scooby-Doo.
They're both
There's an old
equally
abandoned
appropriate.
house. Some kids stumble upon it. They decide to break in.
And then at that point, they kind of hit
We're
the
talking about
jackpot
attire, like the
kid-wise.
shirts. What do you mean?
Attire.
Phil,
I think you
and
said
mean,
attire.
Phil,
No.
fascinating stuff.
Attire.
It's also
attire.
I
like
heard
a card.
attire.
Oh,
I understand what you're saying.
And there are
but
kinds
I
of
heard.
tantalizing clues about what happened there, which they decide to uncover, and which ends up taking years, decades actually. We are devoting our entire show today to this one story, the house near Loon Lake. First broadcast this show in 2001. If you're in your car right now as you hear this, I hope you have a long drive ahead of you, so you can stay tuned. If you're at home, it's night.
Well, attire is what? What attire is what?
Attire is clothes.
Adam Beckman.
Clothes. What kind of clothes?
It was my
Anything.
brother's idea to go down to the lake.
It's a
We
synonym
brought
for
a
clothes.
firecracker. We wanted to detonate it in the
Usually means more
just to
formal.
swim. We were 11, and it was late fall of 1977. We were
And that would
visiting a
just
place called Freedom, New Hampshire, a small town of a few hundred people just across the border from Maine.
What do you say attire? How do you write
My
that?
dad had volunteered to do some maintenance work at a summer camp I once gone to. My brother Kenny, best friend Ian, and I went along.
Yeah, it's A-T-Y-P.
We'd been inseparable growing up, but now Kenny had started hanging out with an older crowd, and I'd been seeing less and less of Ian since I just transferred to a new school. I was in a funk about losing touch with Kenny and Ian, and so for me, the stakes for the weekend were a little higher than usual. In normal times, we'd like to go shoplifting or set things on fire. That Halloween, we'd taken cans of WD-40 and gone from door to door, spraying it in the mouths of jack-o'-lanterns till flames burst out their eyes and they blew up in balls of fire. This is my brother Kenny. He's now 37 and he's a scientist.
I think Ian's mom used to worry a little bit about Ian spending too much time with us or being brought under our bad influence, because I think we taught Ian about throwing wood chips at cars, and we taught Ian about unfolding paper clips so that you could shoot them at people and so on.
So we were wandering around looking for something to do when we saw the house. It was gray and weathered and leaning precariously at one end. The windows were boarded up from the outside. Two old cars, probably from the 30s, sat in the yard. One of them had a tree growing up through a hole where the engine had been. At the back of the house, we found a window that was broken, and I remember peering in into near darkness.
I remember it was kind of a dare kind of thing.
That's my friend Ian.
It was one of these things where we just would say, I'd go in that house. And you would say, yeah, I have no problem going in that house. And Kenny would say, yeah, that house looks fine. None of us really wanted to go back to that house because we're all scared. But we did.
Ian was the skinniest, so it was decided that he should go in first. He slid sideways through the broken panes so he wouldn't get cut, and disappeared. After maybe 10 seconds, he scrambled back out, clutching a newspaper. It was brown, and I remember it crumpled in our hands. The headline said something about Nazis invading. That was all we needed. One by one, we climbed into the house. It was dark inside. The only light came in through little cracks between the boards that covered the windows. The floor felt soft underfoot, and as my eyes adjusted, I could see that it was covered with a layer of filthy clothes. Junk was everywhere.
Actually, we couldn't walk around on the floor because we couldn't see the floor in most places.
It was just jammed with more stuff that you could live with. Because I remember there were a couple of rooms you couldn't go into for how much stuff was jammed in there.
I was careful to remember how we got in case we had to find our way out in a hurry. We were all very quiet. We'd seen enough horror movies to know that joking around could get us into trouble. Here's Ian.
We did not spread out. We stuck probably almost hip to hip. Our backs were glued to each other. And Kenny was maybe looking the other way. His back was good. So we were sort of like this little star of people walking in the house. And Kenny is like one of the worst people to go into a situation like that with. Why do you say that? Because he's very jittery. And he always will kind of mumble about what the worst thing might next happen. I bet somebody's going to come out of that closet,
Some rooms were in total disarray, and things turned out like they'd been rummaged through. But then there were these little areas where things were untouched. In the kitchen, dishes were stacked on open shelves, pots and pans cluttered the sink, and the pantry was stocked with canned food. I picked up a container of Hershey's syrup, and it felt heavy. A salt and pepper shaker sat on the kitchen table.
The main sense I had was of disaster.
This is my brother Kenny.
As if people had been kind of tootling along in their everyday lives, and something terrible had happened. Something catastrophic had happened to the people in the house. So catastrophic that no care had been put in arranging or sorting or editing any of the contents of their lives. And there was a feeling as we sat there that this time capsule hadn't been opened in 50 years.
Hanging in the kitchen was one of those calendars taken out of gas stations. It was dated December 1938. In the bedroom was a pile of shoes, maybe 35, that had fused into one mass. On a nightstand, I found a pair of eyeglasses folded on top of a man's wallet, and I slipped them both into my jacket pocket. In another room was a bureau, and tucked in the mirror frame was an invitation to a dance at the town hall. Pinned to it was a rose that was completely withered. Kenny opened the closet door next to the dresser, and hanging there was a rotting white dress. We began to have a teenage daughter returns to dance with a rose. She pins it to the mirror and hangs her dress in the closet. And then something horrible happens. And that's when time stopped. Outside, squinting in the bright daylight, we raced back through town. I never let kids come off the roller coaster, but I had this sense of doom about the whole thing. I'd heard about the King Tut exhibit that was touring the country. I wondered if it would curse like the guys who found King Tuts do. Also, I had someone's wallet in my pocket. I took it out and showed Kenny and him. Inside was a bright green $1 bill dated 1935 and a driver's license for a man named Jason. That night, while our dad drove us home, I put on the eyeglasses I found to make Kenny and Ian laugh. But then I felt bad about the joke. I didn't know anyone who died before. But now I was pretty sure I was kidding.
In 2 kilometers, take Highway 2 on the right.
Going back to his high school buddies, and my best friend would be going back to our old school. I'd have to face the kids at my new school, where I hadn't made any friends, and it seemed like everyone was named Doug and played lacrosse. I'd always been a moody kid, but it was an unfocused sort of moodiness. Now that all this was happening in my life, my gloominess took on a new focus. I brooded about the Mason house. My homeroom teacher had been an instructor for Outward Bound. Throughout the year, he made us go solo in the woods around the school. I spent hours sitting out there, alone, with my journal and a flashlight, brooding. The winter passed, and the only curse I suffered was grade 7.
In 1 kilometer, take Highway 2 on the right and then keep right.
Friend named David. I knew it'd impress him. We got up early and packed flashlights in our book bags. I think we even brought a canteen of water. It was raining as we climbed through the window of the house. Nothing looked like it had changed over the winter, and just like the first time, I had this acute feeling of being watched as we moved from room to room, touching things, opening up drawers, climbing up into the attic. David felt it too.
All their personal belongings were right there, so it felt so close. And I remember walking through some of these dark rooms, looking around, but being afraid.
Take Highway 2 on the right and then keep right.
Or discovering that they were there, discovering that they had died there. I remember thinking that we were going to find a body in the closet at any moment. I remember there were some closets and cupboards that we just flat out didn't want to open. Or even open up the oven. You're just afraid that you might find something that you just didn't want to see. No, I don't remember the basement.
Did we ever go down? We did go down into the basement eventually.
Keep right onto Highway 2 south.
You go down, but you didn't go in the basement. We never went into the basement. And here's why. The door to it had been blocked shut by a couch that was propped on its end, as if someone wanted somebody down there from getting out.
remember finding a small doll whose face had been burned off. And I remember being terrified of that, thinking this must have been some scene of some horrible ritual.
David has a really strong memory of the doll with its face burned off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was scary. The minute you mentioned it, I've got the image of it.
Continue on current road for about 4 kilometers.
Mangled.
I remember discovering, that there was smear feces areas, or smear.
Fuck.
It was either it was an animal or human, or together now.
The poop on the bed. That was scary too. It made you wonder, what the hell is going on in here? I think at the time of the allergy, people were crashing out here, so that's fed into a whole story about how, some fugitive on the lands of justice was crashing out in an abandoned house, the town alcoholic who used to crash out there after a binge or something like that.
The strange part.
In 2 kilometers, keep left onto Highway 2 South.
Letters that are incredibly personal. These were important artifacts of their family. They did something. You pack them. You don't leave things like a wallet or your address book that has the birthdays written out of your family members. Why do you think?
In 1 kilometer, keep left onto Highway 2 South.
We had a mission. The mission was to find out as much as we could about the family who had lived there. And although
Keep left onto Highway 2 South.
it was a potential clue, so we sat down in this dingy, kind of musky house and we started to read. November 29th, 1933. Dear Mr. Nixon, I've checked out engines inside.
My favorite theories was that, you know, the father died at maybe the same time the son did. Or in papers that talk about war starting and things about how a couple of events, an old father and a couple of sons, could very quickly finish a family.
I remember finding information about betting. I think they were tickets or a schedule, a dog track or a horse racing track. The story we made up was about these people that had lost all their money in gambling.
We needed to find someone who could give us some answers. A person, a family, or a distant relative. Freedom's a small town. Someone must have known what had happened. But when we'd go ask, down at the general store or the post office, people gave us the cold shoulder. This confirmed to us that they were part of the conspiracy to bring this family down.
In 2 kilometers, take exit 234A on the right to Highway 201 East.
It was David who found the breakthrough with them.
Stay on Highway 2 South and take the exit on the right.
We stopped and shop at AC Grocery, Freedom Side near Effingham Falls Bridge. We rode over and hitched our bikes under the bridge. There were 2 or 3 houses on either side, all big old Victorian buildings. But it was obvious to us what was there.
In 1 kilometer, take exit 234A on the right to Highway 201 East.
The door closed, but we were able to squeeze through. The first thing I saw when we went through the door were the boxes of cornflakes that lined the road.
Take exit 234A on the right to Highway 201 East.
60s, with products still on the shelves. By the cash register, there were magazine racks and rows of candy. There were glass countertops displaying fishing gear and stacks of canned vegetables, corn. Some of the cans had exploded from years of heating and freezing, which we thought was cool. Upstairs, there were a few rooms that must have been an apartment.
Being in a store all of a sudden reminded us, gee, we're breaking and entering in a place that's got, candy.
There was a small safe under the counter, and when I turned the handle, the door swung open. Inside, I found 4 silver dollars and 3 Kennedy half-dollars. I also found a $5 gold coin from 1892. I took the coins. I spent the evening
Continue on current road for about 4 kilometers.
falling snow and think about the drifts that must have been blown through cracks in the house. Before I lie awake at night, imagine how still and cold it would be in there. Instead of doing homework, I spent a lot of time reading through my box of Mason covers, drawing up a family tree from the clues we found. Every reference to New Hampshire became relevant to the mystery. I'd sit at breakfast and stare at a tin of maple syrup and think about the distance. I was pretty sure that if there was some way I could support a family researching abandoned houses, that would be my vocation in life. I was 13 years old, and I had a crush on a house. I hadn't told my parents much about it, and I was afraid they'd shut us down over fears we'd get hurt or arrested. But I remember feeling that I wanted to grow up to see it.
In 2 kilometers, take exit 96 on the right to 88th Street Southeast.
Across how amazing it was. So that spring, I led my mother across the field of weeds and watched as she climbed through the window of the house.
I was a little appalled, more than appalled. When I went inside, it was much more, a much greater disaster than I had imagined. Also much greater mystery than I had imagined.
Oh, the shit flying off it.
In 1 kilometer, take exit 96 on the right to 88th Street Southeast and then keep north.
Secretary, on plot of Mason Graves. There was Ivan Mason, who died 1943.
There's different architects, I think, Mom.
Take exit 96 on the right to 88th Street Southeast.
I think it's just a different architect is all.
There was another Jesse Wood who had a birthday, but there was no date of death. So our theory is of a car.
Keep left onto Highway 22X East.
This was a massacre. He's no longer being sense.
circumstances were more complicated than anything I'd imagined. That winter, I had my first nightmare. I was in the house, rummaging through things, and the Nasons were there, in the walls, watching me. And they weren't friendly.
Continue on current road for more than 50 kilometers.
Friends. There was less brooding in my life, and what brooding was left had to do with girls. My mother went up on a semi-annual work weekend at the summer camp, and she brought my sister along. When they returned, they told me a story that made my blood run cold. Tell me about the time you were
Weird, it would come this way, okay.
I think that was a big mistake. I think we were both very embarrassed. We were embarrassed. We were both very embarrassed.
Yeah, I felt I was angry.
You were angry?
I was.
No, it ruined sleep in a sense.
What happened was this. My mother had brought my sister into the house, and they'd seen a child's crib rotting away in the attic, and they decided to take it. So they drove my family's bright orange Volvo station wagon up in front and went in to get the crib.
There was no way one could bring that crib down the stairs. And finally, I found a piece of rope somewhere, tied it up, and we lowered it out the window.
Outside the window? Outside the window.
And that's when a boy walked by and saw it. We saw him see it. We saw him see it. And we realized,
The boy returned with 2 women who told my mother and sister they had no right to be in the house. My mom argued, asking them why, if someone somewhere had an interest in the property, they were letting it rot. The women said it was none of her business and that she'd better leave. I felt betrayed. The scene my mother had described, the orange car, the dangling crib, the confrontation in the middle of the road. People in Freedom had a word for greedy city folk from Massachusetts and elsewhere who came to town, plundering for antiques. They called them massholes. That's what we'd become, and I felt sick about it. I collected all the objects and letters I'd found and put them in a small wooden fish tackle box I'd found in the Nason grocery store. I tucked the box up in our attic, and I never went to the Nason house again. 3 years later, I took a trip through New England with Ian, and we decided to take a detour to Freedom. I stopped the car where I thought the house stood. Ian remembered it being further along, so we parked and walked up and down the road. But the house was gone. All that remained was an outline of the foundation in the dirt. We drove to the bridge to see if the store was there, but it wasn't. We couldn't tell if the buildings had been torn down or if they burned. They were gone, as was, I thought, any answer I'd ever get as to why they'd been left in the first place. I was having the nightmare regularly now. Each time it was the same. I was in the Nason house or some version of it. But now undead Nasons were leaving their hiding places in the walls and attacking me. It was a terrifying dream, and I had it many times over the next 20 years. So there's plenty in here. This summer I went to visit my mother and looked through the box of things I'd saved from the Nason house. All the years I'd spent away from home, she'd kept the box carefully labeled and stored through 4 years.
There.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, the wooden box. You see, that's the wooden box that I remember. And I think it has things in it. It should.
The box was as I'd left it. A little makeup case with powder stuck inside, the eyeglasses, some children's records and the coins, photographs of the family, the letters, and there were newspapers. Right on top was the one we found on the very first day.
This newspaper is very old. Boston's so big. After marching, Jesus, after marching into the rest of Czechoslovakia, marching and Chamberlain exchanged speeches. Nazis stayed there, and Chamberlain said he must do it again. April 16, 1939. And my grandparents were already figures of this day in Czechoslovakia.
left furniture, paintings, letters, all very suddenly, never returned. My mother tells me that all those things probably still exist somewhere. With that in mind, she couldn't bear to see the decent things rotting away like they had.
Here's a spring.
We're heading to Medicine Hat now, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, melancholy. The abandonment. The abandonment is in a way, it's worse than throwing away, much worse. I can understand one family being obliged to flee or run or abandon, but that nobody else cared. That it was so overwhelmingly abandoned by everybody. That nobody had cared to solve something, to resolve something. That was very offensive to me. That was, you know, it was like leaving a corpse. You don't leave corpses. That's a little bit the feeling that I had. That here was a carcass of a house, of a life that thrived. Nobody cared to pick it up and give it proper burial. I thought that it was important that somebody should care. That somehow somebody was leaning over these words, reading them, unfolding these letters that somebody had bothered to write. And it really didn't matter that it was an 11-year-old who cared. Objects have lives. They are witness to things. And these objects were like that. So I was in a way glad that you were listening.
There was one letter in particular that my mother and I couldn't get out of our heads. It was different from the others, and I'd kept it separate, in a plastic Ziploc bag. It was mildewed and barely legible.
April 18th, 1940. Laconia Hospital. My darling, excuse writing. It's the best I can manage. They brought me to the hospital here Tuesday night at 8:30. The baby was born prematurely at 3 yesterday afternoon. I am writing to you, writing for you before I name you. What are we going to do? I'm crazy. Did you get my telegram? Be sure to bring them $20.50. I am weak and can't write more. Very good. I may die. But I love you more than ever. I registered here as your wife. I knew it would be better. With all my heart and love, Frank. Underlined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can hardly stand it. I can hardly stand it. I've thought about her so often. I've worried about her. I've worried about that kid. I've never forgotten these.
I remember finding that. I think you explained to me what it was about. I don't think I understood. Back home in New York, I started doing research on the internet, working off a list of dates and names I found in a cemetery. Eventually, I found this posting in a genealogy website. Masons of Freedom, New Hampshire, looking for relatives of Jesse Mason and his wife Bertha. Any info from their kids or grandkids, which would be awesome. They are my great-great-grandparents. The person who granted this name is Samantha Thurston. I sent her an email confessing everything, and this is what she wrote back. Hello, Adam. I'm very interested in what you found, and almost wish you had taken all that you found. Jesse and Bertha are my great-great-grandparents. I don't know a lot about them, but they did have a store in Freedom, New Hampshire, well known. We exchanged a few more emails and made plans to meet. Samantha said the immediate family either didn't have many answers or didn't want to talk. Her last email to me included this cryptic postscript about the Masons. They might not be what you expect. expect, they are a rough crowd. There's a car coming. My line is followed with 3 exclamation points.
There's like a little dip in the road. I thought I had a lot more time.
No, truck is coming. One of the rough crowds means one of the chubby kids. In a minute, let's talk about radio.
When I put my
Support for This American Life comes from LinkedIn. Many people know LinkedIn through adding connections and keeping up with old classmates and coworkers, but LinkedIn also has more than 20 million jobs. And there are people there who can help you find them. People who will give you career advice, people who are hiring, or people who can introduce you to the companies you want to work for. Find the job meant for you at linkedin.com/jobs. That's linkedin.com/jobs.
It's a Samaritan Life class. We're devoting our entire show today to just one story, a real-life mystery, a house near Moon Lake. Our first broadcast today's show in 2001. Kind of Beckman, the show existed out.
In August, I drive north to New Hampshire to meet with Samantha Thurston, the woman from the internet, and see if I can find someone to talk to me about the Masons. I brought the box of Masons with me. It's small, about a foot square. Inside are family letters, ones I took from the grocery store, a can of Hershey's syrup.
DUMBBELS.
I'll only give it to someone who cares about the stuff.
Okay.
If not, I'm going to bury it on the spot.
Maybe 1B. I don't know. Whatever you can spell it.
Off of Route 25.
Yeah,
I take a short bypass called Mason Road. On the way into town, I stop to get directions from a woman working in her front yard. She's wearing a sweatshirt that says Mason Landscape.
DUMBBELS.
Samantha told me the Masons either didn't know what had happened to the house or didn't want to talk. She also said that everyone would know I was in town. It's hard not to feel paranoid. Here I am, an outsider from New York City, come to town with details about the past, digging around for more details. I'm apprehensive about what kind of reception we get. I arrive in Freedom August 2nd at a parade marching through the center of town. It felt homely, and a whole country festival, an event created by the governor whose bad problems of abandoned homes and farms in New Hampshire, all the way back in 1898. After the Civil War, young people left the state in droves for better land and opportunities they noticed elsewhere. I'd last visited in the 1970s, and a few things have changed since. The town's only store has been replaced with a shop for tourists selling Tito's and hand-dipped candles and beanie babies. Farming is pretty much dead, and city people moved in because they love how charming it is. The place is so subconsciously quaint that you feel like you're on a movie set about a small town. Tidy, with just enough dilapidation around the edges to be rustic.
So Winnipeg is 11 hours and 45
Parade moves past the old town hall, the one shop, across the town's only intersection to the cemetery, then turns around for another pass. The theme for the parade this year is We Are Freedom. When I marched in it as a kid, the theme was Freedom of the Press. I dressed as a radio reporter and pretended to interview the spectators. An irony so bizarre, I don't really know what else to say about it.
So that should be perfect to me. This is about 3 hours right now, right? So then we split. If
That
there's
afternoon,
11
I
hours,
checked in
it'll be about
place to
7
stay
hours
in.
left.
Shouldn't be 3
Event
more
breakfast
hours.
called
Yeah.
Freedom
I know it says 2.5
I'd
more
been
hours,
concerned
but
that some distant relative
I
of the
don't think
Masons
it'll be
might
that
have
long.
been part
I'm
of the
just
running.
saying about
Yeah.
that. And
I
it says
shouldn't have
11,
worried.
so you'll bring it down to
The
9
owner's
hours.
New Yorker.
Okay,
There's
so
a Princess
that's
Di memorabilia in the
Or
library.
exactly,
and my
4 and a
room
half and 4 and a half. That's perfect,
In
actually.
fact, it's been called the Ooh La La.
Maybe less because we can go 130.
Secret
Yeah.
Caveman. It's like Ooh La La, but anyway.
Patrick Neely is part of the new breed in Freedom. In the 5 years he's lived here, he's had the B&B meticulously restored. Antique toiletries and bottles of talcum powder line the shelves of the washroom. On a hallway table, silk gloves rest on top of a purse, next to a pair of opera glasses. His things are just like the stuff in my box of Nason knickknacks, only better quality. Standing there with a dirty little wooden box under my arm, I feel sort of pathetic. And when Patrick starts talking about how people can create instant ancestors out of old junk, it doesn't make me feel any better.
I've pieced together mysteries through photos. I've come up with photographs. I have a number of instant ancestors in this house that are kind of to create the ambiance. And, in a few instances, I've tried to trace whatever I could out there.
Patrick's learned a lot about the history of his
bigger. It's 240 kilometers.
And then she lived here and died here. I think that Rachel still has.
Well, is there something? There's something there.
Yeah, because it thinks that this road is 100, so it thinks you're going to go 100, but I'm going 120.
Remember last time? You were freaking 60.
There's going to be no roads like that from here to home, but they're going to be very straight and very flat.
Yeah. I could drive tomorrow.
I have a couple of days to go before my meeting with Samantha.
I want to sit in the back.
Huh?
I don't want to sit in the back.
Who might have known the Mason family. The first one on his list was right across
No, I do not at all.
Well, my name is Gail Holmgren Bickford. I came here at the age of 6 months with my parents and have spent most of my summers here. What else would you like to know?
Yeah, it's not much for what we could do too is we could
Scruffy little kids.
Abby's
They were
car seat
always
all the
shovel,
gets that side.
half-dressed, needing to be washed. They were real.
I don't want to sit in the back anyways.
Went crossing the covered wagons and never got to school. Well, I guess maybe they did go to school, but I think they were barefoot. They were sort of scary to go by there. We walked to the beach pretty fast to get by that house. I don't know. I think the firemen burned it down for a practice session.
What was their status in town? Were they
I don't know anything about that. And I don't know the whole family setup, but one of them was into racehorses and made quite a lot of money, I think, in racehorses.
I asked Gail if she thinks financial hardship brought the family down, but she can't confirm anything.
About 1940 something, they built a bypass so that the main 25 did not go through town anymore. And then the town began to die out. There was no reason to come to town. And then the stores lost business. And they began to close up one by one. I have no idea whether that's what.
That's what's going to happen to Morris if they decide to
maybe somebody
pass around the town, Rod. Yeah.
Come on. Right up with them.
Carol Chase was the fire chief in Freedom about the time the house was burned. I find him sitting on his porch on a road outside of town. He's 92 years old and hard of hearing, but he does remember the fire.
Just let it. A match. Newspaper of a match.
Was the house empty or was it full of stuff?
Nobody lived there.
When did it start?
Life. Well, that one is people on. That's about all I know about it. People like their own.
He looks away from me as he says this, and I take the end. Later that day, I learn he's related to the Masons by marriage. In fact, he's Samantha's grandfather. I spent some time worrying over why he never mentioned this. That afternoon, I go to the junk shop.
It's really weird the way it came across the highway. It was like hovering.
Should I park your dog? Just like it's too bloody. There's a shark coming.
Worse, for death. Or when they move from a house to a retired home. As it turns out, back in the mid-70s, we got a call about the Mason house.
They're getting ready to knock down in a house.
The other clothes, just boxes of old whiskey bottles with labels and all this stuff in there. I got 10 or 12 boxes, I sold them.
Do you remember if there's anything in here that you
got from the house, the Mason house.
One more spot.
John walks me out past the piles of discarded family possessions to a barn full of covers and bottles.
Stop it, Jake.
Yeah,
See, like,
Sorry that I'm just like picking at my
Pickwick Hill.
zits that pop up on my
Hard,
eyes.
about 19, 20s.
I'd taken a Pickwick out bottle over from Denise when I was
Big one
in
right
school
here.
from college. It's the one relic I'd kept for myself when I packed up Denise and stuff.
These were upstairs. And upstairs in some boxes, of course, the roof was on the apartment. Remember? And the upstairs was it was one of those you said, really worth taking a chance, get those boxes down from upstairs. But we did.
John hands it to me. It's got the same veneer of rust on it that everything in the Mason house had.
This is $5.
He gives it to me for free. One project, he says. I'm supposed to meet Samantha, my internet Mason girl, at the B&B at 1 o'clock, and she shows up.
I don't know when it started. I'll just sit to my hours.
A red pickup truck tears into the lot in a cloud of dust, and a tough-looking woman in a flower-print dress gets out and stands there. Samantha's young, in her 20s.
Sure,
She's
she
made
can have
out, hair
strawberries.
tied back in a bow.
They might be a little bit dirty, like dirt on them. Some
I
of them
talked to the family yesterday, to actually Alan Mason. He's one of the closest to our little family.
We talk, it's like we've been living in
may as well put a bib on her if she's gonna eat strawberries.
She tells me she's been scouring
It's gonna be
neighborhoods
messy.
and public record, trying to keep
Yeah.
stuff from that tree.
It'll be messy.
You
You have to clean them, take the juice
decided to
them
find
off.
out if she did. Financially,
It's on in the front
for
pouch.
long she figured out her grandfather
Yeah,
was
should be right on the top there.
a legitimate child of hers, Mason. One of Bertha and Jesse's kids.
Yes.
Although her grandfather was not the person that set them
You can have some strawberries, Munchkin. Yeah. Strawberries.
Hearing what she was uncovering,
know,
was such a keen on her research project.
She loves that stuff.
I left my box of stuff in Mason house upstairs looking below. I wanted to get to something, but I wanted to be sure.
Anybody want a snack?
No, I'm alright, thank you.
Can we get the beef jerky now?
What is it?
So I bring it
Beef
down.
jerky, it's right at the bottom.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was like, they still have the other beef jerky left.
Well, let's eat that first.
The other one?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness, we've got papers. Oh wow.
That's probably one of the first things we did.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know there's still some in here.
I can't believe this.
Oh, like 4th of July, you can't change the store. Who is? To do it for a year.
Who is?
David.
Oh.
Something happened to Porsche Prairie, so I don't know.
Going for a year up north.
Something happened.
Oh.
1 year?
Hey, he's gonna go to the Manitoba Hydro Dam thing there. He's gonna go there for a year.
So what does that mean for their trip?
Probably do it after his trip. God, yeah. So that means they're up. Oh, I don't know. Interesting. Do you still want beef jerky? Try eating that if you want.
Start playing with it.
I hope they appreciate it as much. I really do. Actually, the lesson that you had going to the house during that time, because once it fell in,
We can even use that bag for the other one. The other one doesn't reseal, right?
and all the memories, everything they left behind that should have been picked up, so they could have been passed down, was all lost. So
Your beef jerky's not bad.
I don't know what to put it.
Samantha didn't know much about why the Mason house went bad.
Giving me the look. From my eye, giving me the look.
Trespassers will be shot.
survivors will be shot twice.
Good. Then you're gonna have a look
David's
at
sitting on his front
okay?
porch with his friend
Got
Nathan.
another going out.
How does it happen? You know about the Masons.
When I was a little boy, when I was about 11 years old, I was a summer camp. Once we get coffees, I realized the trespassing sign is David's idea of a joke. It's Sunday afternoon, and they're drinking mudslides.
Of course I do, honey. Been in it many times.
When the Nasons were living there?
Yep, Mr. and Mrs. Mason. And I can see Mrs. Mason taking out a pan of biscuits. Honest to God, I've been thinking.
Mabel's arms are spread wide as she says this. The image is pure.
Oh, we need that image for this.
Great.
Oh, yeah. We just talked about it. Wait till you're done and then open that up for me if you don't mind.
Well, they were wonderful people.
No, the water is funny. I mean, somebody.
It was
How
sitting
would you say
all
it
night.
was, Jess?
It's been in the car for at least a good 12 hours, but that's why.
Both Mabel and
And it needs to be washed because it has just like
But David, like
mold starting to collect
inside after
still drinkable. It's not like it's poison or anything. You want beef jerky? You want
Open the bun up for me if you don't mind.
You're just gonna eat it like a sandwich?
Why would they just
It's probably the best fat, yes.
Big fat juicy burgers, it says. Big fat strawberries, it says.
You're not young people out. They don't care about whole things today.
David made still when Bert died in 1960. Jesse soon after.
Oh. There's a magnet on it too.
Can I have one?
When Jess died,
How many do you have?
one
I've only had one.
Yeah.
Can I have another one?
Yeah. There's 6, so we can all have 2. Did you have 2?
The other one.
Oh, just leave it in the back.
I'll have it later.
I have my 2 already, and Rod will have it later, yeah.
So you tried today to sign off and give it all the authority.
That one as well. Cut your strawberry down the
That is correct.
Fine.
front.
She can have more. Strawberries, it's okay if she eats strawberries. They're good for her, so.
When this person who was
They're good for her, so it doesn't hurt if you give her all the whole thing, right?
Then the
Shit.
widow was paying the taxes all these years, and she said, "Well, I didn't let him go.
Son of a
I didn't
bitch.
want to go." Well, she never left, and they
Pig stamps, Rod.
Whoa,
so
wait.
she said, "The heck with it.
I'm not gonna eat all of
down for
them.
her absence." I finally went to the town and I said, you know, there's a light house. I told them out there, people over there pouring around. I said they can step on a nail and glass, a wire, and soon it's not posted. So I said it ought to be burning.
I was at my daughter's, and I was in her
That was good
kitchen.
though.
Yeah, they were burning. You could see the flames.
Anyone want some of this cheesy bun?
I had communicated with Mr. Thompson. He said to me at the time, we're ready to put a plan to burn it at every practice session, and I was going to
It's so hard to rip off.
and I said, thank you.
It's really good.
Good though?
Huh?
It's good though?
Yeah, it's really good.
There's a lot of chocolate there. Yeah.
If she wants to eat it all, she can have it all. They're just strawberries. Yeah, they're just strawberries. Right? What? You're okay with that?
They would take glass champagne.
Jess was like that. She just had a lot of stuff.
Wrap that back up now. I'll have a bit of that turkey. Big old bun. Thank you.
This one's running.
It's good. I prefer this than the package one. The other one's just way too salty.
Why was Emily?
Might have sentimental.
Yeah.
You know, I've never really thought of it. It seems very tragic in a way. I mean, that was a large family.
Got it.
I mean, how well do you know people? You know, how many of them are interested in knowing?
And so the house and the store were abandoned because the kids didn't care. In some ways, this was bleaker than anything I'd imagined back when I was 11. I assumed the murder was an accident causing innocence to leave all these things behind.
God forbid she associates her nana with food, eh?
But in fact, it was the opposite. The family made it happen. They didn't care about the stuff, but they just didn't care about them.
Too bad they weren't they were character friendly. Nice people.
Kids are done school? Yep. What's the school here?
The old school.
Yeah, that's right. They made everything good.
But didn't everybody then? Those were the good old days. When we had everything but money.
Yes, I guess so. I have
Of course, you wouldn't have place for a pony by then.
Members of the Nason family declined to
What's interesting neighborhood? It's like rolled out windows, boarded windows.
Jesse and
stuff.
Bertha reserved for sure. The house until 1946. That's when they opened the store near Ethical Falls. Moved to the apartment above the store.
Almost near certainly.
They took what they needed and left the rest in the old house, using it as storage and keeping open the possibility that they would move back someday. When Jesse and Bertha died, the fight over the estate began. Immediately, their kids, they were 9 and 8, locked up the store.
No, it's, I didn't notice it went down
The
to
house
70.
stayed pretty much as it was. After 11 years, the fight was settled. The property was auctioned, the money was split, and the buildings were razed to the ground. I asked an elder Nason
Oh, actually, no, it's fine. I'll have that tart, though.
And she said,
Where's that
"What
tart,
precious
Mom? I'll have that
things
tart
was
now.
full of crap. I mean crap."
Oh, once we get on the Trans-Canada, actually.
No one knew anything about her.
Seek up.
Dave and Mabel told me it's just figures.
You want a that?
Sure, yeah, I think so.
Beef chicken and
Just like every other town.
They're all in little.
Oh, did you hear?
got that now. Just took a bit up, but I've said no more.
Things that happen like
She'll give it a big chunk of beef.
It won't make that much of a mess anyways. It'll just be a bit
I'll
oily.
put the big back up for that.
No.
There you go. That's good.
Is this it? Ooh. Are you here?
Something like that, she said.
Oh, you passed.
In retrospect, I know it was a little much, my obsession with the Masons as a kid. I found this stuff in their house precious, so I assumed they would too. But of course, the relics in their house weren't about my life. They carry no memories good or bad. It's possible that for the Masons, they were reminders of the inheritance history, or others,
This one's just
that they just assumed to forget. When I was talking to my friend David about the Nason house, he told me this story. His wife's father had recently and suddenly died and left behind a house that no one in the family wants. So David and his wife Susan now find themselves involved in figuring out what to do with it.
I feel like it's on the cusp of being abandoned. No one's living there. You know, it's ripe for being vandalized. And what do you do with a house like that? And now it's strange. It's tied up in this weird probate.
Especially the beef jerky gun.
You can't really do anything. You just kind of have to maintain it until some future court date.
What about beef and shepherd's pie?
And Susan said an interesting thing was, you know, gosh, I remember the house just burned down.
Same difference.
You wish the house would burn down. It's partly, you know, it's
They dry it out in a special oven. Yeah. Then they put it. Yeah. Basically, exactly.
but it's irrelevant.
You could do it if you can do it yourself. It's a lot of work.
Buy machines, buy the machine.
You don't even need the machine. You can use the oven too. It doesn't come out as good, but yeah. Yeah, we're coming onto the main highway again now.
We crashed through the bushes for a while.
They're the
hoping we could
rigorous
find
restaurant
the
right there.
foundation
The
or
prairies
something,
now.
but there wasn't a trace. In fact, the very land where I remember the house was gone. The soil had been hauled away weeks before by bulldozers constructing part of the Freedom Elementary School.
Well, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Anyway. To me. You like it, I know.
Continue on Current Road for more than 50 kilometers.
It's really messy, but gotta eat it over the egg.
Later, when I was packing to leave town, I found a small scrap of paper on the floor that had fallen out of the box of nascent stuff. There wasn't any writing on it, but I actually hesitated with the trash can. It's not that I missed my box of clothes. I'd felt relief handling with Samantha. In fact, I actually felt lighter. But I was glad to have a remnant, however small, of the nascents. So I took the scrap in my bag.
Do you have garbage, Mom? Put it in here.
Dear Sister Bruce broadcast this weekend. Cinematographer, co-director for a television show, streaming mini.
All I have is that ripped paper.
Died since firsthand. Yell, Goldblum, Pickford, what a freak vocals. Harold Chase, Fire Chief, Davis, and Tom Taylor, friends for.
Thank you. There's still some left, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, no, there's I was actually getting a bit tired of eating it. It was good, but I felt like I was eating like a cow, ripping it in it. Just constantly chewing on it.
Additional production help with rerun. Our website, thisamericanlife.org, where you can stream our archive of over 600 episodes for absolutely free. Download as many episodes as you want for extra convenient listening.
And I said, no, stop that. So it takes that big bit out and shook the other bit in. And I went, then say, yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
You want me to stuff this one in? I'll put the other one in? Never mind the other one.
We work. Manage their work. Clever Greg. Visit airtable.com/American. Special offer.
She likes her meat. That's for sure. Especially her oh my gosh.
Stories and songs from Lagunitas IPA. And of course, Big Pub in public radio. Find out more about you at lagunitas.com. He's always our program's co-founder, Mr. Trent Donatia, who is fascinating. He describes one of his typical weekends this way.
A teenage daughter returns late from dance on the road.
Want me to transfer that water in the bottle? Maybe the difference?
And then something horrible happened.
All right, class. Back next week. More stories from This American Life.
Is there lots of garbage in that door? Yes.
A fair bit. Not a lot though.
Yeah, I was gonna move it in here, but I don't even want to bother doing it now.
High school Gary Goldman.
Do you want to see if maybe there's a rest stop area or somewhere we'll have a charger and we can pull in? I could keep going or I could pull in.
We are going to train the Goldman and make the star.
Now we're just following the number one all the way to Medicine Hat.
Like Arnold.
What the hell's going on here? Well, getting hit with all kind of bugs all of a sudden.
The trailer's right, just throwing you rocks.
No, it's little bugs.
She's holding him with her toes now. Like a monkey.
Yeah, it sounds like there's little mini beetles.
Must be something in these fields or something.
Okay.
So how would you know there's a rest stop?
Oh, I really want to listen to this.
BBC World Service supported by advertising.
No results. No results.
Okay, you'll zoom out and just follow along the number one and see.
What you're hearing is Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and the crew's cabin of their bizarre-looking spacecraft Eagle during the final 3 minutes of their descent to the moon. They're standing up as they fly. Both of them peer through small triangular windows in front of them as they work the controls. Buzz Aldrin is calling out the altitudes and rates of descent as they approach the lunar surface. Here Just 700
She puts the beef jerky between her toes. She's doing it again now.
Get some toe jam in there.
Now we're at 600 feet, about 200 meters from the surface. You may
Why,
have heard
the
me
jerky
say
doesn't have enough flavor, Munchkin?
He's talking about a landing site they're currently headed toward, and it's not what they were expecting. It's these large boulders, and it's certainly not a safe area to try and touch down. So, to avoid potential disaster, he changes course, flies Eagle over the treacherous expanse of rocks by slowing his descent rate. Instead, he's now moving orbits at speed. He's
The only place doesn't have a rest stop, but there's a town coming up.
Apollo 11's flight director, Gene Kranz,
What's in there?
Oh, there may be one here, actually.
Pick out a landing spot. And he's very close to the surface. Instead of moving slowly horizontally, he's moving very rapidly.
It's called Visoma.
I've never seen anybody flying in this way in training.
To mental attention.
What's the charging station at?
Oh, I just looked at what's the nearest rest stop, but I will check. I'll look at the charging stations now.
Half realized. It's flimsy, strange. It looks like nothing on it. Because, of course, it was never meant for you.
We choose to go to the moon. Captain Canmore, go for landing. Shield is secure. Go for landing. Over. Training on the 1202 program alarm. We're going to make it a thing.
The only charging stations we have is in Brooks.
What is ambient Brooks?
It took 2 spacecraft to get Apollo 11 to the surface of the gigantic satellite rocket. One was the commanded service launcher.
This one looks like it's Upland Trail. This looks like it's
served as its main accommodation for most of the 8-day mission, going back to the Earth. The second spacecraft was the Lunar Watcher, the Eagle, which took the
one with the dollarama
down to the surface of the moon, like a dinghy dispatched on a yacht to explore the desert island. The drama of the final 13 minutes to the moon revolves around events having this extraordinary craft and the communications between the Apollo 11 crew and mission control.
One more, there it is. Got more strawberries.
In this episode, I'll be unpicking the story.
one is like here. It looks like this might be
strawberries now.
And hearing firsthand from an astronaut in fluids to I'll also get some.
No, that's fine.
The engineers and technicians.
Yeah, no, I'll just eat it.
New York State. 1960s created.
Never mind that.
Got more down for this.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Such a mess. It's stinky.
You got it really soft for me though. That's for sure.
Was it the best job in the world?
Well,
Then you have to drink some.
Absolutely.
You have to drink
And I had it at 22 years of age, so I
one is at a hotel. It's a pizza. Boston Pizza. Tim Hortons there. One is at
Like my second engineering job.
BRK Equipment Ltd. There's an all-season cycle across the street. There's a Dollarama there.
The highlight of my career.
Which one is the closest to the highway?
The one at the Ramada Hotel. That was the closest to
How
the
far is it off the highway, do you think?
One block and a half up.
Okay,
block and a half away.
We'll go there.
Like Stevie Ray. That's how he is here.
Alright, sounds good.
I'm getting fun. And BBC World Service. This
No,
is
no,
13
not right now.
minutes to the moon.
Open at 24/7. 1319 2nd Street. It's about 40 minutes away. That's good?
That far?
Yeah.
There's nothing until then?
Nope. That has no plug-in stations. I was hoping they would have one in this little town here, but they don't have any.
Fuck, like 40 minutes. Well, maybe, yeah.
The route guidance will start now.
Yeah, I thought there would be some in Bassano, but they don't have any in Bassano.
To Kennedy Space Center because I was a space
nut. And
Yeah, can you put it on my phone so it'll come through the speakers?
As a spaceflight artist and self-professed space nut, Paul has a unique perspective on the Apollo module. Over the years, he's become a world authority on its design and history. I first met Paul when he was helping to restore a lunar module, or LEM as people call it for short, at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. I was struck straight away by his enthusiasm and his vast knowledge of this space vehicle and the forces that shaped its design. People are supposed to fly in something that looks good and sexy, and the LEM was not that. And I was trying to draw it, and if you look at the facets, and I mean, it really will make your head
It's telling you to check
so I
in.
took that as a challenge.
If you want to, Ross.
Everything the way that it is. And when I found out that there
You
was
want to do it now? Or wait till we get closer?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
This is amazing. This is incredible.
Just need to press go and that's it.
Yeah, go ahead,
Form
press
follows
it.
function. The LEM seems to be in it.
Starting route to 1319 2 Street West.
Oh, no, don't touch it.
Go turn,
For
can you turn it
67
up?
kilometers, continue straight on.
Unlike the command module, the lunar module didn't have to have an aerodynamic shape, as it never had to fly directly through the Earth's atmosphere. It's almost impossible to describe the LEM. There's nothing to compare it to. For some people, the word ugly is one of the first words that comes to mind. Paul Fiel puts it like this. It looks like an angry creature with four legs staring at you, daring you to call it.
It's nice, you can see the landscape
Has
up
kind
in
of
the down a little bit, right?
Hatchet comes out, two eyes, quite angry. Originally,
really tall hills in the mountains.
Helicopter type design, but that would cost too much in weight, so they ended up with little tiny triangular windows, which gives it kind of an angry shape. It's kind of a cylinder where the crew sits, and then a couple of bulges that are asymmetrical. There's a weird asymmetrical thing that looks like it has lumps. So looking at it, it's multifaceted on the top, on the bottom. It's pretty straightforward, just kind of an octagon before
She chows them down. It's crazy.
But it's covered with strange material, very crinkly. It's very pretty, like a Christmas wrapping gone bad. I'm going to unwrap the LEM and explore it in
It's not like it's DC, right, Rod? Where they have lots of charging stations. Alberta has some, but
Not nowhere near as many yet.
not as many.
Here's Charlie Chin, who piloted one to the surface of the moon on Apollo 16 in 1972.
Your first impression was, how did this thing ever come about? Basically flew like a helicopter with a rocket engine instead of a rotor blade. But it was a great bunch of folks working on it, technicians and engineers, people from all the Long Island area, and they knew what they were doing.
On the 20th anniversary of Apollo 11, Grumman, the Long Island company that built the lunar module, released this film celebrating their most famous product.
This unearthly device is a Grumman lunar module, the most specialized yet most broadly capable manned space vehicle ever built. On July 20th, 1969, a sister ship of this one.
Before the lunar module, Grumman had never built anything to fly in space, let alone something to land people in one piece of the moon.
Yeah, I'd rather have strawberries than those fish or anything else, right?
Yeah, but the
way
company
better.
had a successful track record of making military aircraft dating back to the Second World War. And after a competition with other aviation companies, NASA ordered Grumman the contract to design and build the lunar module. That was at the end of 1962. As we'll hear later, this great challenge, a giant leap into the unknown, turned out to be much harder than anyone at Grumman had
Just thought
imagined.
to us and we'll do some
Chief
close
Architect
conference once we were home, but
Engineer Tom
there's no mill.
Here he is in 1966 on the American TV science program called MIT Science Reporter, showing its host their latest work on advanced Northern Ireland.
This is a full-scale mock-up of the lunar excursion module. This will never fly. Why do you have to build such a full-scale model? Well, we need an accurate model in order to check the fit and installation characteristics of all our equipment and also to practice all the operations with the spacesuited astronauts. The vehicle, as you can see, is a two-stage spacecraft. The lower stage is called the descent stage and is primarily used during lunar landing.
What?
Feel the heat? 31 degrees out.
And the tanks and pressurization equipment that supply it with power.
Bye-bye, strawberry.
Descent stage, equipped with a revolutionary rocket system, was sent
Oh, there's
into
another
the
one here.
drama of the last 13 minutes before touchdown. And
And stacked on top of that was the equally essential ascent stage, which contained the astronauts in their cabin, as well as the systems that allowed them to fly in space. Rocket motor.
What's going on with your trip then?
Today, the Long Island factory.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is your trip still going, Mom?
Yes, the trip is still happening.
Okay.
It's going till July after the holiday.
There is no better shrine than those spacecraft.
Well, they're going August to September.
July for a month.
Listening to its generator.
No.
You can tell.
Oh, they're going at the end of they're going at the end of July and the 2 weeks in August.
Well, when's the white meat? It's like a little red person.
Oh, maybe they're going in August.
And
Yeah, 2.5 modules, which is more than any museum on the planet. And we have that was the lunar module built. Oh my gosh, her legs!
It's full of strawberry.
You can see she was going like this, they're playing with their feet. Are you ready? So after July, so he's going to start that mid to August.
Ready?
Test article,
Yeah,
the first one
ready.
ever built. And obviously, after the engineers design it, they put one together. Fit properly. And all the changes and upgrades they made, they would try them out on this first. All sorts of electrical tests and pressure tests.
This exhibit is done up as it would have been in a clean room when it was being assembled. In a nice high bay with scaffolding around the exhibits.
How does it work? They go a week over there and 2 weeks here, or
mannequins and wearing suits and hats.
And when the lunar module was built, it was cleaner than a surgical room. The room was kept at a higher pressure than the other rooms around it, so if any dust or dirt, it wouldn't blow out. There was a great concern over dust and dirt and contamination in the spacecraft. For a variety of reasons, tiny bits of metal or something could short out the electrical system, and they were worried about
see the cows? Can you try and take a picture of them
so it was
for me?
built in a very pure environment, as clean as an operating.
The fantastic thing about this particular exhibit is you can see inside the module itself. The extremely thin outer metal paneling, the skin of the spacecraft is made. The whole thing stands at nearly 7 meters tall.
This is the only module where you can kind of see the guts of it. You can see all the fuel tanks and the pressure tanks and where the engines are.
It's kind of extremely beautiful to see it like this. You'd have trouble immediately recognizing it as a lunar module with wires exposed and none of the paneling of the finer article.
Kind of without the skin on it, you could really see how flimsy it was, how it was built, because weight was so critical, lightweight, the skins on it are so thin. There was only 2/1000ths of an inch of metal between the astronauts and vacuum. That's like a soda can.
It's a 2/1000ths of an inch.
Buzz Aldrin in his memoirs wrote that he could have taken a pen and jammed it through the side of the spacecraft. But it had to be super light, because when you're landing on the moon, the heavier you are, the more fuel you have to burn. They needed to make it so light so they would have more hover time over the moon so they could land safely. So it was built as light as possible, but the engineers worked it out. Yes, it's very light and flimsy, but it'll work, and they all did.
It's astonishing to think that they flew to the moon inside a metal cabin so thin, as Buzz Aldrin once remarked, picture a hominid using a pen. But making the vehicle as light as possible maximised its fuel efficiency, and hovering over the moon, desperately looking for somewhere to land, fuel efficiency is what keeps you alive. The engine that the precious lunar supplied was one of the true state-of-the-art technologies of the Apollo program. Taller than a man, the descent engine had to deliver powerful thrust, but uniquely for its time, that thrust had to be controlled the way a driver might control the engine of their car with an accelerator pedal.
You can see that the whole person out on the water at first now,
It's never made that was throttleable. Because the astronauts had, when they coming to land, they were steering it and they had to use the throttle to slow their speed or to pick up speed. It was either an obstacle or something. So it's the first one ever made that had a throttle. Before that, all rocket engines were either on or off. So it's a unique engine and heavily tested, and they work perfectly on every mission.
It's easy to overlook that because you see an awful lot of rocket engines in the space program, but as a
can you clearly tell that it's cows?
leading-edge state-of-the-art technology for the 1960s.
It was the first one ever built like that.
And how was that
maybe I'll take some.
No, just send that one to John. No, just don't send any
Reliability had to be everything. Because they only had one
no
shot.
message, no nothing. Just send a picture of the cows like that to John. Like, is it a picture of nothing but with some cows in it?
Well, it has like sheds and some.
But it's basically nothing with some cows in it.
It's just
yeah, that's perfect.
And they would
go into the combustion chamber.
Well, there's like
just
trees in the
explode.
back.
But no, but like there's nothing of interest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you'd look at that and be like, what the fuck is this a picture of?
There's buildings in the background. That's okay.
Yeah,
The
that's fine.
descent engine had to be ignited twice to get Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the lunar surface. The first time was after they'd undocked Eagle from the command module Columbia, leaving their crewmate Michael Collins in lunar orbit. This took them out of lunar orbit and on a gently sloping trajectory towards the moon. Just under an hour later, they fired the engine one more time, and this marked the start of their controlled, powered descent. Their final
Years ago, him and I went to Calgary once.
Here's the
And I was taking, I got my first digital camera and I was taking pictures of everything. Everything under the sun. And he's like, what are you taking pictures of? I'm like, I don't know, the cows. And he's like, that is so lame. Like,
cruise brief countdown to ignition, the engine starts to fire gently at 10%.
So now the joke is always like when he saw, when I posted the pictures, he's like, I don't see any cows. Like, so just like you'll
Send
be.
him a picture of the cow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The engine is pointing and firing.
Literally taking pictures of everything now.
So the thrust.
Oh, look at that bird. Cool. Did you see how it was like
As a result,
slowing down because he's like trying to stalk its prey? But
No, I did not.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, you were driving.
Now it's been
That would have been a nice picture of the cows there, but that's okay.
There are only 4 people left.
This one had like debris and like old fencing and stuff like that.
That's fine. It's a perfect picture, I'm sure.
It has like a little pond in there too. A little swimming pond.
During Apollo 11's final 13 minutes of descent. Here he is in mission control, talking to Buzz Aldrin in the tense moments as they began their final approach to the lunar surface.
Give us an estimated quick over time, please. Roger, stand by. You're looking right at 8 minutes. Yes, estimated.
Look who this is.
30 seconds, 664. Right, about 30 seconds.
Remember way before Banff?
Eagle Houston coming up 8:30.
I was getting pissed off because truck drivers kept going in the left lane.
Was always enough.
Bet you this is them.
Neil Armstrong had specifically asked that Charlie
One of the trucks was had a bunch of cars on it, right?
landing because he thought Charlie understood the lunar module systems better than anyone else. So I just had to meet Charlie Jr. to find out firsthand what it was really like to fly an Apollo lander on a trip that took us to his home just outside the city of San Antonio in Texas.
Charlie, I'm Kevin Fong. Nice to meet you. Andrew, great to meet you, Charlie. Good morning, guys.
Once we sat down, Charlie explained that the first challenge of flying the LEM was making sure that you descended toward the moon at the right speed. This was done with the descent engine's throttle, which is a bit like the lunar module's accelerator pedal, and using a switch that fine-tuned its control. But the astronauts also had to be able to rotate and tilt the lunar module in the vacuum of space. This was done with clusters of smaller rockets or thrusters mounted on the outside of the cabin, which allowed the astronauts to point the spacecraft in any direction they chose. Altogether, this was how you flew the lunar module, constantly adjusting both your speed and your attitude
White House Press
angle
Secretary
as you
Sarah
headed to the surface.
Next to the throttle, there was called a rate of descent switch, I guess. And if you flipped it up, it
No.
gave 1 foot per second up.
She's a mouthpiece. She's a liar, Mom. She's a liar.
We used it a lot in the final
That's why I
stages
said she had
of
to
the landing.
misconstrue everything.
And in the final stages, it's like
She always made
flying a
excuses.
helicopter, except you're using a rocket engine to hold you up rather than a rotor blade. Because with your attitude control, you can put down pressure and you go forward. You can pull back and you go backwards. And you can roll left and roll left. So you could go up, down, right, left, forward, back, anything you want. Or hover, just like a helicopter. But you're using this rocket engine mainly, plus these little attitude control jets.
Now here's Charlie, alongside Commander John Young during the mission of Apollo 16
in the back.
1972. Their lunar module.
We're gonna stop in half an hour or so for a stretch.
At this point, they're about 400 meters from the surface.
What's the other thing? 44.
So you'll
Well,
never heard
looking
anything,
good.
did it?
British Columbia swell.
You can hear Charlie calling out altitudes and rates of descent as he monitors the readings on their onboard computer.
800 feet, 30 down. Okay, Houston, we're going to be just a little long.
And now, in this clip, they're much closer to touchdown, at only 80 feet. Listen out for Charlie, noticing the engine exhaust blowing dust off the lunar surface.
Okay, 80 feet, Brooks. Down at 3, looking super, dead side. Okay, down at 3.
When he says down at 3, he's telling Johnny that they're now descending gently at only 3 feet per second, essentially no faster than walking speed. And moments later, Apollo 16's Orion touches down on the lunar surface, and even the dense radio
31 degrees.
can tell that Charlie Duke
31 degrees.
The lunar module was difficult to fly and easy to crash. Here's the normally unshakable Neil Armstrong talking in 2001 about how much the final minutes of the lunar landing worried him. It's from an interview he did with the Johnson Space Center Oral History Project.
It was far and away the most complex part of the flight. The systems were very heavily loaded. At that time, the unknowns were rampant. The systems in this mode had only been tested on Earth and never in the real environment. There were just 1,000 things to worry about in the final descent. It was, it was hardest for the system and it was hardest for the crews. It was the thing that I worried about because it was so difficult. Walking around on the surface on a 10 scale was a 1. And I thought that the lunar descent on a 10 scale was probably a 13.
Learning how to pilot the lunar module took time, patience, and a lot of practice in the simulator. A chaotic pile of 1960s electronics and screens that looked like a prehistoric arcade games machine. Because of its unwieldy appearance, the astronauts called it the train wreck.
If you just jumped into the lunar module and took off with no training, you'd been in really deep trouble. But we spent 2,000 hours in this simulation, so we knew the systems. We knew how to operate. Our training was very thorough. We did every maneuver, every descent sequence possible.
So we're going to try to do Saskatchewan.
Practiced over and over and over.
How many times do you think you landed on the moon in simulation?
I say I probably landed on the moon 2,000 times in simulation, but I crashed 1,000 times too. So, I mean, they could kill you if they wanted to kill you in a simulation. The instructors, they knew how to do it. You know, they could fail this, fail that, and just crash.
Through these exhaustive dress rehearsals, the training team in mission control saw to it that nothing was overlooked. The same, however, can't be said for the matter of comfort in the lunar module cabin, which was decidedly less than first class.
There were no seats. You stood up or leaned against one of the bulkheads. So that's where you slept. We had hammocks. One went right, left, one went fore, aft. It seemed real comfortable until you started getting suited up. Then you try to get your suit on, and you end up about half a meter apart, really, less than that. And because once you get your backpack on, the roof curved like an orange, and you couldn't, with the backpack on, you couldn't back up against that wall, and so that pushed you together.
So far, what you've described to me is like trying to live and sleep in a broom cupboard.
You had to have a good storage plan, because if you said, well, I'm going to put my helmet over here and my gloves over there, if you didn't do it the same way every time, you lost everything. And, well, where are my gloves? Well, I'm supposed to be, no, here they are now. Anyway, it was a chore getting suited up, if you will. I remember 2.5, 3 hours maybe.
3 hours?
Yeah, we got, I mean, it was a long process.
It's just incredible to hear Charlie Duke describe sleeping in a hammock in the lunar module on the moon in 1972, when less than a decade earlier the basic design for the vehicle hadn't even been agreed upon. According to Len's story, it seems Grumman didn't fully understand how to go about the tunnels.
Not on the moon.
program, Grumman came up with this notion of design to help them think through the problem. How do we like that? The design they came up with was very simple. 22,000 pounds and a nice glorious bubble canopy with window seats. And then when they won the contract, they thought, okay, we're going to get to build this thing. And they go to NASA, and NASA said, no, you haven't taken into consideration the redundancy. We need redundant systems all the way through here. There's all these secondary things, backups on backups to make sure that we get
basically
mission success is crew survival is absolutely critical. And so, you know, the levels of backup that you have depend on whether or not it's a line straight crew coming on live or the mission succeeds.
So Grumman had to go back to the drawing board. To meet NASA's stringent demands for reliability, safety and weight, they had to get themselves out of the mindset of aircraft manufacturers and into the space business. Here's Dick Dunn,
We're going to be going out, getting out soon, much again.
for its lunar module project.
Stretch out your legs.
You have to remember that the lunar module was designed by aeronautical engineers. And aeronautical engineers at that time were more concerned with streamlining than they were of anything else. So the first models of the lunar module were very aerodynamic. They were very smooth. It had a lot of glass in it. And as the design evolved, the glass is very, very heavy. It had to go. So the glass went.
And along with large heavy windows, out went the seats for the astronauts. Here's Josh Stoll at the Cradle of Aviation Museum.
The original design had seats, but they eliminated those, and they had the astronauts when they're landing stand up and look at it out a small triangle window, which gave everyone their face. So they got rid of all that glass and gave them very small windows right near their face, and that would give you the feel.
It looks like it's an upside down. It's like a cocoon hanging from the ceiling. That's what it looks like.
But even after getting rid of most of the glass and the seats, the lunar module's weight was still not going to meet the target NASA had set for Grumman. This was no trivial matter. The spacecraft had to be light enough so that the Saturn rocket could lift it off the Earth and send it on its way to the moon, but also so that the LEM could carry enough fuel for its landing.
And in contract with war, the vehicle was given a weight of 24,000 pounds. It's fully loaded with fuel and ready to go. It became very apparent that we were not going to make the weight. Because as the final design evolved, pieces and parts got added to it, and the weight started climbing. And it was going very, very bad as far as the weight.
For the engineers at Grumman, at times it looked like an almost insurmountable challenge. The message was clear, less was more. To get to the target weight of 12 tons fully fueled, radical action would be required. John Devaney was a LEM systems engineer.
We actually had big action seconds with big schedules on the wall. You know, how the weight was going up day by day, increasing. We came to a point where we put together an enormous effort to try and start reducing the weight down. And we actually had a program where we would spend $10,000 in 1969 to get rid of one panel. We had whole bunches of engineers who did nothing but analyze how we could get rid of the weight. In fact, we developed some machining techniques where they actually chem-milled some of the structure to get it down to the thinnest thing that you wanted.
Chem-mill.
It's like etching glass, okay? You did it with chemicals, basically. And you took these structural pieces and instead of machining them, you actually etched them all the way down to the least amount that you could get out of it. We flew with about 35,000 pounds. But if you looked at the curves early in the program, we were going to exceed 45,000 pounds. But weight was always a problem.
And some of the weight reduction strategies in turn caused more problems, reducing the thickness of the LEM's metal structure.
We're not stopping here very long, just a quick. We're not stopping very long, just a quick stretch.
Systems were fragile and susceptible to breakage. None of this was the stuff you wanted in a spacecraft that would carry national heroes.
Check up on her because poopy sack.
John Devaney, like everyone else, was driven on by the enormous pressures to meet Kennedy's ambitious goal of getting people to the moon and returning them safely to Earth before the technology was out.
No, I'm not!
You put the guys in the capsule. Heroes. If we ever lost one, we really have to try to explain that. These guys were bigger than rock stars. They were paid
even less than, well, it's about 7 years to complete. What do you think your chances were of achieving it?
I tell you, we had a lot of doubts about it. I mean, we had a schedule that said we were going to meet in Atlanta somewhere around July '69 kind of thing. But I think a lot of people, especially the people who were working in the details, could never figure out this whole thing is going to come together that fast.
And sure enough, Dick Dunn says the timetable started to slide.
Not making a schedule did occur. We were supposed to fly on Apollo 8. If you recall, in 1968, in December of 1968, the Apollo spacecraft went to the moon for the first time. They didn't land, they flew around, but that was supposed to be a lunar module flight. So there were disappointments, there was apprehension, but at that point, in the 1968 period, we could sort of see the light of day. We were going to make it, but it was going to be close.
The lunar modules were ready for flight testing, with astronauts on board only a few months before Armstrong and Aldrin actually landed on the moon. The crew of Apollo 9 in March 1969 put the spacecraft through its paces in orbit around the Earth. 2 months later, Apollo 10 carried a module to the moon for the first time, flying it to 50,000 feet above the lunar surface. And 2 months after that, Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin completed the journey, adding the final 13 minutes that took them to touchdown. Back at the Cradle of Aviation Museum on Ireland, curator Josh showed me an exhibit which dramatically celebrates that historic landing on the 20th of July, 1969.
It's not a very big town.
Coming to this pretty atmospheric, dark room with small lights on, looking at a tableau that is a recreation of the Apollo 11 landing, a figure representing Neil Armstrong standing at the foot of the ladder there, and
in 10 kilometers, keep right onto N873 towards 2nd Street West.
next to a real lunar module.
Yes, this is a real lunar module, LM-13, but actually would have gone to the moon on Apollo 18 or 19. But NASA got their budget cut and they had to cut the last 3 missions, and we have it exhibited on a recreation of the Apollo 11 landing site. So this is taken from photographs. We've sculpted the surface the same way. So we try to recreate that setting and some of the lunar lighting setting in this room.
I mean, it is incredible really to see a real lunar module up close like this, not least because as you move around it, you see how the panels cover, try to cover up for the awkwardness of its shape. I mean, it really does look like the sort of way I wrap Christmas presents, but
The appearance of Christmas wrapping paper comes from blankets of crumpled gold-coloured material wrapped around most of the lower section of the lunar module. And like everything else, it wasn't there just to make the module look pretty. It played an essential role, protecting the spacecraft and its crew from the extreme temperatures out in space.
When you're in space, the side of your spacecraft facing the sun is 250 degrees, and the side away from the sun is 250 degrees below zero. So you had to super insulate the spacecraft so that bad things wouldn't happen on the inside. You don't want it to warp or deform or fuel to heat up or things to overheat and short out. So it's super well insulated. But basically this gold foil is aluminized mylar called Kapton. It's about 25 layers thick. They build it in blankets and attach it. And they don't want the layers right next to each other. They actually want a little air in there to give it more insulation. But obviously when the spacecraft was completed, the last thing done was attaching all of the various thermal blankets all over it.
The blankets also protected the spacecraft against the extreme heat from its own engine exhaust, so the job of insulating the LEM needed great care and attention. And of course, like just about everything else on Apollo, that responsibility was handed to some of the youngest members of the team, people who were only in their 20s.
My name is Alan Contessa. During the Apollo program, I worked for Grumman. I was a thermal insulation technician, which sounds lofty, but it's basically we insulate the vehicle.
Alan normally installed the blankets before the spacecraft were transported to the launch pad in Florida. But then, very close to the launch of Apollo 11, NASA decided it wanted extra thermal protection around the module's legs. By that time, Eagle had been securely stowed inside the Saturn V rocket, more than 300 feet above the ground. For Alan, then just 22 years old, this assignment
was literally the highlight of his career.
I was fortunate enough to work on top of the Apollo 11 rocket about 3 weeks before the launch, putting this stuff on. And it was also very hectic because everybody, all the different crafts were trying to finish up their particular tasks.
And you were crawling into the vehicle to install this insulation, you know, really quite late on in the day. Just tell me what it was like.
Well, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. Have you ever seen a construction elevator on a construction site? They're like a wire cage. So here we got into this little wire cage, about 4 people could fit into it. And then you start from the bottom of a huge monster of a rocket, and you get up, and it gets thinner as it gets up. And the first time we went on it was at night, so it was lit up, and all this white surface was reflecting. It's huge. It was 35 stories tall. I don't mind heights as long as it's safe. And this, to me, looked about as safe as you could get, except for the fact they'll do that about a week later.
In 2 kilometers, keep right onto M873 towards 2nd Street West.
The rocket fueled up and we were up there, so we used to joke saying that if something happens, we could be the first people on the moon if this thing blows. But going on the rocket was probably one of the most exciting things. If you're working in the space program, this was the top of the world.
So you're up there to install this insulation around the legs of the lunar lander.
So where is this station?
And there's a picture of you here. I guess it's happening.
We'll be like here, somewhere's here.
Well, what's the name of the business?
Right
Or?
onto M873 towards 2nd Street West.
Yeah, I was working, just looking out the hatch. See the landing gear is not deep.
Is it Tim Hortons
It's a plastic bag around the top part of the landing gear.
It's a
I guess it's like a clean.
Oh, it's a hotel.
Right.
It's smart to make sure you don't get debris.
There's like a Timmy's and there's a Dollarama there. It's between the Tim Hortons.
Actually, I had a hood on my. This guy caught me with the hood on improperly. That was supposed to be over my face because I had a mustache, you can see, and my sideburns were about a quarter of an inch too long, so they had this.
Keep right onto Highway 873.
These requirements. So I just took. I wasn't doing anything at that point, so I just took it back over my face.
And this is you.
In 700 meters, the destination is on your right. 1319 2th Street West.
Boston beats at Tim Hortons is what it is.
June 69. Putting this insulation material around those legs, the legs of the lunar lander, to make sure Armstrong and Aldrin.
And I'm 23 years old. What are they crazy? Letting us kids near this thing? But
it's in that parking
lot. We knew what we were doing was very important and historic and all of that stuff. We were serious.
Serious, dedicated, and proud to be part of the monumental challenge to get the astronaut to the moon and back again. People like Alan and Tessa found themselves doing things they couldn't possibly have dreamt of doing in any other walk of life. But there's no doubting the intense pressure everyone was under. Confiel has talked to many of this research.
One thing I should say that's always shocked me in talking to
proceed to the route.
Who work the program. Landing on the moon by itself as a job, however long it takes, is really
Please proceed to the highlight.
Yeah, right here.
And the route guidance will start.
Under this extreme time.
I don't want to be here too long.
Literally felt like a war.
Okay,
They were working around the clock. Everybody
There's
took
a Wendy's, a Boston
responsibility
Pizza,
for
Timmy's,
their
or
part of the
whatever.
job. One of the managers at Grumman said he thought America got the program for 70% of its true cost. The rest being
We'll get some water.
Oh man. Getting out for a stretch.
Yeah.
Ouch. 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 Wait, let's put this down then.
No, I did not. Cool.
Oh, she's wet. You're sopping wet.